Chapter 993. Of course it's powerful. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called the Dragon Subduing Formation. Qin Haodong said, the Dragon Subduing Formation is a high-end formation. It uses the surrounding natural environment and violent spiritual qi to condense into a binding rope. Whether it's a human or a magical beast, as long as they fall into it, they will be trapped instantly. It's extremely difficult to escape. He Ziwei said, it seems that the people of the Azure Dragon Kingdom have spent a lot of effort to capture these two flame golden-eyed beasts. Qin Haodong said, the Dragon Subduing Formation is the peak of trapping formations. It's not easy to set up such a high-level formation. The formation master needs to observe the terrain in advance, find a suitable place to set up the formation flags, and then hide the formation flags underground one by one without leaving any traces on the ground. Otherwise, it'll be easily discovered by the magical beasts. I'm afraid it'll take at least 6 or 7 days to finish all this under the eyes of the flame golden-eyed beasts. Otherwise, it'll be impossible to finish it. He Ziwei said, they paid such a high price. What do they want to do? Niuzhuhua said, what else can they do? I guess they want to keep the flame golden-eyed beasts as their pet beasts. However, after the magical beasts reach level 8, they usually have spiritual intelligence and won't lower their heads easily. While they were talking, the spiritual qi condensed in the Dragon Subduing Formation at the foot of the mountain finally formed thick chains, which locked the two flame golden-eyed beasts tightly. The two magical beasts, which were comparable to masters at the early stage of the Mahayana realm, were extremely angry. They kept roaring and struggling, but they could do nothing about the formation. Let me tell you, it's useless to struggle. It'll only make you more and more miserable. Seeing that his formation had succeeded, Li Tianxiong let out a long sigh of relief. All this was planned by him. He had prepared here for 7 days, and now he could finally close the net. Li Tianhua said, Your Highness, it won't take long for these two magical beasts to surrender and become your pet beasts. A smile appeared on Li Menyao's face. No matter whether Qin Haodong is dead or alive, he'll never be a match for my 8th-rank magical beast. It turned out that she had been indignant after being defeated by Qin Haodong's 3-legged golden toad. On his way back to the Azure Dragon Kingdom, he suddenly discovered 2 flaming golden-eyed beasts. That was why he decided to take them in as his pet beasts. Qin Haodong heard what they said clearly. It turned out that the capture of these 2 warcraft had something to do with him. Roar, the 2 red-eyed, golden-eyed beasts in the Dragon Subduing Imprisonment Formation became more and more enraged as they struggled and roared. They were the kings of this mountain region. Usually, whether it was humans or beasts, they would hide far away when they saw them. They didn't expect to suddenly fall into someone else's trap. Li Mengyao walked in front of the 2 giant beasts and said, no matter how strong you are still just a demon beast. You don't understand the wisdom of the human race. This is a high-level trapping formation. Even a giant dragon can't escape from it. I advise you to stop struggling and obediently become my pet beasts. Otherwise, only death awaits you. After saying that, she drew a hexagram in the air, then cut her index finger and dripped a drop of blood into it. As long as you accept my master-servant contract, I will immediately release you. Roar, the 2 flaming golden-eyed beasts were usually extremely arrogant. How could they be willing to become someone's pet beasts? They didn't pay any attention to Li Mengyao and continued to struggle in the trap. Their bodies were burning with raging flames. Unfortunately, these ropes were condensed from spiritual energy. No matter how fierce the flames were, they couldn't do anything to them. Li Mengyao frowned and turned to Li Tianxiong and said, Can you give them a little something to make them surrender faster? Li Tianxiong said, Your Highness, I'm afraid that won't work. This formation can only trap them at most. It can't cause too much damage. Li Mengyao said, at the level of 8th-rank magical beasts, they can live for a year and a half even if they don't eat or drink. Are we just going to wait here forever? Your Highness, I have an idea. Lu Mingju walked out of the cave of the 2 flaming golden-eyed beasts with Pang Ban. Each of them was holding 2 puppy-like things in their hands. The puppy-like things looked red and extremely cute. They were newborn flaming golden-eyed beasts. Seeing their children being taken out, the two flaming golden-eyed beasts became even more violent. They were so angry that their eyes were about to pop out. Unfortunately, the dragon trap formation was too powerful. They couldn't break free even if they tried their best. Li Mengyao said, "What do you mean? Do you want me to raise these little things? It's too long. I can't wait." "That's not what I mean." A vicious look flashed across Lu Mingjiu's eyes. "Your Highness, we can use the cubs of the flaming golden-eyed beasts to force them to accept your contract." Li Mengyao moved and said, "That's a good idea. We can try." Lu Mingjiu walked to the flaming golden-eyed beasts with a cub in her arms. "You two surrender now, or I'll kill it." Roar. Roar, the two flaming golden-eyed beasts roared angrily. Their eyes were filled with hatred. They couldn't wait to tear the woman in front of them into pieces. Unfortunately, they were trapped tightly and couldn't break free at all. They didn't want their children to be hurt, and at the same time, they were unwilling to surrender to a human. "You won't give up until you see your coffin." "Do you think I'm joking?" A ferocious look flashed across Lu Mingjiu's handsome face. She raised her right hand and threw the cub of the flaming golden-eyed beasts onto a huge rock beside her. With a puff, blood splattered. Although the flaming golden-eyed beasts were 8th-rank magical beasts, their cubs were extremely weak when they were just born. They were smashed into a pile of blood and flesh. Roar. 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 Seeing their cubs die in front of them, the two flaming golden-eyed beasts let out earth-shattering roars. There was anger, sadness, reluctance in their eyes, but most of all, hatred. "What do you think? To submit or not to submit? Otherwise, this one will die too." As she spoke, Lu Mingjiu raised another cub. "A woman's heart is the most vicious. You're so vicious." At this moment, a cold voice came from the side. Lu Mingjiu was shocked. She turned her head and saw Qin Haodong, Niu Zuehua, and He Ziwei approaching them. Li Menyao's expression changed. She shouted, "Qin, you're not dead? If vicious women like you are not dead, why should good people like us die?" Qin Haodong said, "The people of the Azure Dragon Kingdom are really unscrupulous in order to achieve their goals. You won't even let a newborn cub go. Kid, since you're not dead, I'll send you to hell now." Li Tianque roared and raised his hands to slap Qin Haodong. "Old thing, get out of here." Niu Zuehua's figure flashed and stood in front of Qin Haodong. She raised her hand to slap him. With a muffled bang, Li Tianque's body shot out like a cannonball. He broke a few big trees before landing on the ground. As soon as he stood up from the ground, he spat out a mouthful of blood. You, Li Tianque was so surprised that he couldn't speak. Just a few days ago, they were both at the early stage of the Great Vehicle Realm. He didn't expect that Niu Zuehua had already entered the middle stage of the Great Vehicle Realm. Li Tianxiong and the others were also shocked. If Niu Zuehua was at the early stage of the Great Vehicle Realm, it would be easier. After all, they had the advantage of numbers. But now it was different. An expert at the middle stage of the Great Vehicle Realm could completely crush a dozen of them. Li Mengyao said, "Qin Haodong, what are you doing?" "Nothing. I just can't bear to see you bullying people." "No, bullying two magical beasts." Qin Haodong smiled mockingly and looked back at the two flame golden-eyed beasts in the dragon trap formation. He raised his hand and drew a hexagram in the air. He dripped a drop of blood into it and said, "Accept my contract and then I'll let you go out and take revenge." He had learned the beast taming skills in the spirit beast bag, but the two flame golden-eyed beasts were too high level. They were class 8 magical beasts. It was not easy to tame them on normal days, but the situation was different now. At this time, the eyes of the two flame golden-eyed beasts were full of hatred. They were thinking about how to escape and how to take revenge, so they easily accepted Qin Haodong's contract. The magical beasts did not resist, and the contract took effect immediately. The hexagram disappeared quickly, and the drop of blood turned into 2 red lights and shot into the foreheads of the 2 flame golden-eyed beasts. The contract was established. From now on, the 2 flame golden-eyed beasts were Qin Haodong's pet beasts. Li Mengyao was so angry that her eyes were spitting fire. She had been here for 7 or 8 days and spent so much effort, but in the end, it was all for someone else. Originally, she had fantasized about taming the 2 Class 8 magical beasts and completely crushing Qin Haodong's 3-legged golden toad. Now, the 2 flame golden-eyed beasts had become his pet beasts, which made her feel so aggrieved that she wanted to vomit blood. Li Tianxiong said angrily, "Qin Haodong, it's useless even if you tame them. My formation is called the Dragon Trap Formation. Without my permission, they can't get out even if they die." He had absolute confidence in his array formation. This array formation was something he had learned from an ancient book. Until now, it had never failed. Qin Haodong smiled disdainfully, "You're thinking too much. I can break a formation like this in minutes. Keep bragging. That's impossible. This is the highest level trap formation. Without decades of attainment, it's impossible to break it." Li Tianxiong was talking non-stop when he suddenly saw a red brick appear in Qin Haodong's palm. Then, he raised his hand and smashed it into the dragon trap formation. With a smack, the brick smashed right into the eye of the dragon subduing trapping formation. With a loud bang, the entire formation stopped working. The spiritual energy ropes that tied the 2 flame golden-eyed beasts disappeared quickly. Breaking a formation with a brick, it worked every time. Li Tianxiong and the others were completely dumbfounded. He had lived for so many years, but he had never seen anyone break a formation like this. Then, a huge wave of fear rose in everyone's hearts. If the 2 flame golden-eyed beasts broke free, wouldn't it mean that they were doomed? Especially Lu Mingju. She was no longer as vicious and proud as before. She had killed a cub in front of the flame golden-eyed beasts. One could imagine the consequences for her. Roar! After breaking free, the 2 flame golden-eyed beasts roared into the sky. Their eyes were spewing flames of anger. Then, they pounced on the people from the Azure Dragon Kingdom. One of the flame golden-eyed beasts pounced on Lu Mingju. Lu Mingju was scared out of her wits. In a panic, she threw the other cub in her hand. The flame golden-eyed beast raised its huge front paw. An invisible force caught the cub and placed it beside it. Then, it opened its mouth and spat out a huge pillar of fire that engulfed her whole body. Lu Mingju did not even have time to scream before she was burned to ashes by the flame golden-eyed beast. Nothing was left. At the same time, the other flame golden-eyed beast pounced on Li Mengyao. It seemed to know that this woman was the cause of all this. Chapter 994. The 8th rank magical beast was comparable to a master in the great vehicle stage. Before the flaming golden eyes beast could reach Li Mengyao, its huge pressure had already suppressed her. "Your Highness, be careful." Li Tianxiong rushed over and protected Li Mengyao behind him. He raised his hand and punched the flaming golden eyes beast away. The man and the beast were fighting. Normally, he would be able to fight evenly with the flaming golden eyes beast. However, he had to protect the second princess, Li Mengyao, so his hands and feet were tied. Soon, he was at a disadvantage. After fighting for a few rounds, his hair and beard were all burned clean by the raging flames. He was in a very sorry state. The other flaming golden eyes beast killed Lu Mingju, but it was still angry. It turned around and pounced on Pang Ban, Zhao Long, and the others. These people were only at the early body synthesis stage. They couldn't even fight back under the huge pressure of the 8th rank magical beast. The flames that the flaming golden eyes beast spat out had the power to burn everything within 1,000 miles. Soon, these people were all turned into ashes. In the blink of an eye, only Li Tianxiong, Li Tianque, and Li Mengyao were left from the Azure Dragon Kingdom. Li Tianque adjusted his internal injuries. He wanted to help Li Tianxiong, but he was blocked by the other flaming golden eyes beast as soon as he moved. After being injured, he was still weaker than Li Tianxiong. As soon as they started fighting, he was beaten up by the angry flaming golden eyes beast. He wanted to escape, but he was blocked by it. After 2 or 3 minutes, the flaming golden eyes beast tore off his left arm. Ah! Li Tianxiong let out a shrill cry. He turned around and was about to escape. However, he saw Nyotsuhua standing behind him. The great elder of the Ghost King sect had always been a vengeful person. Although he didn't attack just now, he had already sentenced Li Tianhua and Li Tianxiong to death. Seeing that Li Tianhua was about to escape, he immediately blocked his way. Go back. Nyotsuhua slapped Li Tianhua back. Unfortunately, Li Tianhua wasn't as lucky as before. What was waiting for him was not the big tree, but the huge mouth of the flaming golden eyes beast. The blazing golden eyes beast opened its mouth wide and swallowed Li Tianhua. Seeing this scene, Li Tianxiong couldn't help but tremble in fear. Although he was a master of the Great Ascension stage, his courage was not much bigger than ordinary people. He was already at a disadvantage. As he was distracted, the fiery golden-eyed beast's huge claw landed on his chest. Compared to cultivators, demonic beasts had extremely powerful fleshly bodies to begin with. The slap instantly shattered Li Tianxiong's sternum, causing blood to gush out along with his internal organs. At the same time, another fiery golden eyes beast rushed over and swallowed Li Tianxiong. In the blink of an eye, the 2 great ascension stage experts of the Azure Dragon Kingdom had both died without a complete corpse. Li Mengyao turned pale with fright at first, then she came back to her senses and shouted at Qin Haodong, "Hurry up and tell your magical beast to stop. Do you really want to be the enemy of the Azure Dragon Kingdom?" Qin Haodong sneered, "From the moment the Azure Dragon Kingdom attacked me, we were no longer friends. Are you saying that the Azure Dragon Kingdom will not be my enemy in the future if I let you go?" Qin Haodong, just you wait. The Azure Dragon Kingdom will definitely not let you go. Li Menyao's eyes were filled with extreme hatred. Seeing the 2 blazing golden eyes beasts pouncing on her again, a golden talisman suddenly appeared in her hand. Qin Haodong, I'll kill you sooner or later. Li Mengyao roared angrily again. That golden talisman? It emitted a golden light that enveloped her body and instantly disappeared from where she was. The 2 blazing golden eyes beasts pounced on empty air, then they roared unwillingly at their surroundings. Nyotsuhua said, "This woman actually has a treasure that can teleport, but she still managed to escape." Qin Haodong was not surprised about this. It's normal for the second princess of the Azure Dragon Kingdom to have a treasure that can save her life. But this kind of talisman? It must be an extremely rare treasure that could not be used again after being used once. After killing all their enemies, the 2 blazing golden eyes beasts came to Qin Haodong together and rubbed their big heads against his body. Go, go, go. Stay away from me. It's too hot. It was summer. As soon as the 2 fire attribute magical beasts got close, they felt extremely hot. One of the blazing golden eyes beasts let out a roar. Qin Haodong said, Okay. I understand what you mean. I'll take your children with me." Then he moved his mind and put the 3 cubs of the blazing golden eyes beasts into the spiritual beast bag. The 2 blazing golden eyes beasts came to the dead cub and let out a sad cry. Then they also went into Qin Haodong's spiritual beast bag. Qin Haodong and the other 2 didn't stay here anymore. They continued to fly toward the Azure Dragon Kingdom. The next day, they entered the territory of the Azure Dragon Kingdom. In the evening, a huge city appeared in front of them. Qin Haodong asked, "Is this the Azure Dragon Royal City?" It was no wonder that he asked this question. This city was huge and looked no less than the Black Tortoise Royal City. He Ziwei said, "It's a long way from here to the Azure Dragon Royal City. It's called the Little Azure Dragon City." Qin Haodong exclaimed, "No wonder the Azure Dragon Kingdom is the most powerful kingdom in the Lingwu continent. This city is comparable to the Black Tortoise Royal City and the Vermilion Bird Royal City. He Ziwei said, the little Azure Dragon City is indeed prosperous because this is the base of the Alchemist Union of the Azure Dragon Kingdom. Countless cultivators go here to ask for medicine every day. Because of this, the scale of this city is getting bigger and bigger. It's even comparable to the Azure Dragon Royal City. Nyotsuhua said, Sister Ziwei, it seems that you're very familiar with this place. Have you been here before? 3 years ago, I came here with my father to buy medicine. He Ziwei said, although the headquarters of the Alchemist Union of the Lingwu continent is in the White Tiger Kingdom, the branch of the Alchemist Union of the Azure Dragon Kingdom is also famous. The president, Lu Xiaoyao, is an 8th grade alchemist and the first vice president of the Alchemist Union of the headquarters. Nyotsuhua said to Qin Haodong, husband, since it's so prosperous here, let's go down and have a look. Qin Haodong said, well, we'll stay here tonight and leave tomorrow. After that, the 3 of them landed not far from the city gate and walked into the little Azure Dragon City. At the city gate, they found that hundreds of people had gathered around the city wall and were looking at a huge notice. Nyotsuehua, who always liked crowds, shouted, husband, let's go and have a look. If it's still a marriage notice, you can choose another wife. Sister Tsuehua, you're making fun of me again. He Ziwei glanced at Qin Haodong and blushed. She didn't think much about her marriage. Instead, she felt that it was the wisest decision she had made in her life. Qin Haodong said, if you want to see it, then go and have a look. The 3 of them went to the bottom of the city wall and saw a huge notice hanging at a place more than 2 meters high. It was a notice offering a reward for medical treatment. It was clearly stated that whoever could cure the illness of Lu Xiaoyao, the president of the Alchemist Union, the Alchemist Union would give 10 low-grade immortal crystals as a reward. Qin Haodong couldn't help but be surprised. The king of the Vermilion Bird Kingdom only gave a low-grade immortal crystal as a reward for such a big competition like the 4 Nations Exchange. He didn't expect the Alchemist Union to be so rich that they could give 10 low-grade immortal crystals as a medical fee. This was definitely a big deal. The people next to them also kept talking about it. It seems that President Lu is really sick this time. He took out a low-grade immortal crystal on the first day and added 1 every day. Now he has accumulated 10 low-grade immortal crystals. It's a pity that I don't know medical skills, otherwise I would be rich. It's 10 low-grade immortal crystals. It's exciting to think about it. You think too much. How can it be so easy to get low-grade immortal crystals? All the famous doctors in our little Azure Dragon City have been there, but no one can cure President Lu's illness. Nyotsuhua said, husband, aren't you proficient in medical skills? Do you want to give it a try? She was well aware of Qin Haodong's medical skills. If Qin Haodong hadn't treated her in the 7th Order Pagoda, she wouldn't have been able to recover now. Let's go. Let's go into the city now. Qin Haodong wouldn't care if it was something else as a reward, but this low-grade immortal crystal was a good thing for him to improve his cultivation. He absolutely couldn't let it go. Watching the 3 of them leave, the onlookers behind them kept shaking their heads. It's obvious that they're not from here. They don't know their limits. So many famous doctors couldn't cure President Lu. What's the use of them going there? It's obvious that they're going for the immortal crystals. But if the immortal crystals were so easy to get, they would have been taken away by others long ago. This young man looks good, but it's a pity that he doesn't look like a doctor. Qin Haodong ignored the discussions of these people. After entering the city to inquire, he went straight to the mansion of the president of the Alchemist Union. Lu Xiaoyao, the president of the Alchemist Union of Little Azure Dragon City, was an 8th grade alchemist and also a master of the Great Vehicle Stage. His status here was even more respected than the city lord. Correspondingly, his mansion was also built extremely luxuriously, with richly carved beams and painted rafters. At the gate of the mansion, more than a dozen guards were guarding here with cold expressions. Seeing a man and 2 women coming this way, the guard leader immediately stepped forward and asked, "Stop, what are you doing?" Qin Haodong said, "I'm here to treat President Lu." "Treating? Are you a doctor?" Qin Haodong said, "Yes, I'm a doctor." The guard leader saw that he looked too young and said with some disbelief, "Where's your doctor badge? Let me have a look." "Ah. Doctor badge? Do doctors need badges?" Qin Haodong hadn't been in the Lingwu continent for a long time. He knew that alchemists had badges, but he hadn't heard that doctors also had badges. "You don't even know what a doctor's badge is. How dare you come here and pretend to be a doctor?" The guard leader said angrily, "Where are you from? Did you come here to make trouble?" Hearing what he said, the other guards also glared at him. Some even pulled out their swords and sabers in their hands. It seemed that they would make a move if they didn't agree. "Presumptuous, who gave you the courage to talk to me like this?" Qin Haodong's body exuded an irresistible power. "Although I don't have a doctor's badge, my medical skills are definitely the best in the Lingwu continent. Only I can cure your president's illness." Seeing that he was full of momentum and spoke with confidence, the guard leader was at a loss. "Since your medical skills are so good, why don't you even have a doctor's badge? What's the use of those worldly things?" "It's just a formality," Qin Haodong said. "People like us with real medical skills don't care about badges at all. These days, a lot of doctors with badges have come here. Have they cured President Lu's illness? The badge doesn't represent medical skills. If it delays President Lu's treatment, can you afford it?" Chapter 995. The guard leader and several guards behind him were dumbfounded. None of them could bear this responsibility, but they didn't dare to let Qin Haodong in. Although the badge was the proof of being a doctor, there were also some people with special talents who didn't bother to apply for the badge and didn't take the test. At this moment, a middle-aged man came over and looked at the people in front of the door. He said, "What's going on? What are you arguing about?" The guard leader hurried over and said, "Butler Lee, this person is here to treat the president, but he doesn't have a badge." Steward Lee said arrogantly, "A person who doesn't even have a doctor's badge is not qualified to treat our president. Just drive him out." As an 8th-level alchemist, Lu Xiaoyao had a superior status in the Azure Dragon Kingdom. No matter how high or low their cultivation was, as long as they were cultivators, they couldn't do without elixirs. Therefore, he had a lot of appeal in the Azure Dragon Kingdom. Butler Lee's status also rose. People who came here every day to ask for medicine, no matter how high their cultivation was or how high their status was, had to be polite when they saw him. This also cultivated his arrogant temper. After Lu Xiaoyao fell ill, countless senior doctors came here but couldn't cure him. He naturally didn't care about a doctor who didn't even have a badge. The guard leader said hesitantly, "But he said he can cure the president's illness. If the president's treatment is delayed, no one can bear the responsibility." What a big tone. Butler Lee looked at Qin Haodong and said with disdain, "You're so young, but you talk big. These days, all the famous doctors in the little Azure Dragon City have come, but they couldn't cure the president's illness. I really don't know where you get your confidence from. These days, all the doctors who came to treat the illness were received by him." There was no lack of famous doctors, but they couldn't do anything about Lu Xiaoyao's illness. From the bottom of his heart, he didn't believe that the young man in front of him could do anything. Confidence comes from strength. In this world, there is no illness that I can't cure as long as the person doesn't die. The more you talk, the more excited you are. Butler Lee said, "Since your medical skills are so high, what's wrong with me?" Qin Haodong glanced at him and said jokingly, "Are you sure you want me to say it in public?" Butler Lee snorted, "As long as you have the ability, what's wrong with saying it? You're the one who asked me to say that." Qin Haodong said, "If I'm not mistaken, you haven't had sex for at least 3 years. And so far, you don't even have a son or a daughter. All right, little brother, don't say any more." Steward Lee originally thought that Qin Haodong was a liar, so he said that. He didn't expect that Qin Haodong really saw through his problem. He took Qin Haodong's hand to the corner and whispered, "Little brother, can I be cured?" If he said that he had no children, it would still be understandable. After all, This kind of thing could be found out by anyone in the little Azure Dragon City. However, he did not have any sexual intercourse within 3 years. This secret was only known to him. Therefore, as soon as Qin Haodong opened his mouth, he immediately believed most of it. Qin Haodong said, "It's not a big problem. It's not a big deal. You can be completely cured in 5 minutes." "Really? Little brother, you're not lying to me, right? As long as you can cure my disease, you can ask for any price." Steward Li's face was full of excitement. Over the years, he had seen almost all the famous doctors in the Azure Dragon Kingdom because of Lu Xiaoyao, but no one could cure his disease. As a man, especially a man with a high status, countless women would fight to throw themselves at him. However, he had a problem in that aspect, which was extremely painful. Qin Haodong said with a smile, "What's wrong? You want me to cure you now? You don't mind that I don't have a doctor's badge?" "Little brother, this is my fault. I've seen countless doctors with badges over the years, but they couldn't cure my disease. Please forgive me and help me treat my disease. As long as you can cure my disease, I'll immediately recommend you to see President Lu. It's a deal. I'll cure you now." Qin Haodong said as he stepped forward to hold Steward Li's hand and passed a wisp of green wood genuine qi to him. "Your hidden disease is completely caused by your cultivation method. The attribute of your cultivation method is yin. Every time you cultivate, it will hurt your kidney qi. When you were young, your kidney qi was full, but your cultivation was still shallow, so it was not obvious. As you grow older, your cultivation will become deeper and deeper, and the damage to your body will become greater and greater. Now it's only your male function that is damaged. In a few years, I'm afraid your life will be affected." Steward Li felt a burst of warmth in his lower abdomen, which was indescribably comfortable. After hearing Qin Haodong's words, he suddenly turned pale with fright. "Little brother, do you mean I can't practice martial arts in the future?" The Lingwu continent had always respected martial arts. He sat in the position of steward because of his cultivation. If he became a disabled person in the future, he was afraid that he would lose everything. "It's not that serious. I think the cultivation method you practice must be incomplete. Some parts are incomplete, so it leads to this effect. As long as you correct the mistakes, you can continue to practice." "Little brother, you're amazing. When I was young, my family was poor. I accidentally got an incomplete secret book and practiced according to the records on it. I didn't expect it to become like this." Steward Li said with a begging face, "Little brother, can you help me repair the incomplete cultivation method? I'm a doctor. You run your genuine qi. I'll find the parts that will cause harm to your body and change them for you." "That's great, little brother. You're like my second parent." Steward Li began to run his genuine qi and presented his cultivation method in front of Qin Haodong without reservation. As the Emperor Green Wood in his previous life, Qin Haodong had seen countless cultivation methods. After a large circulation, he immediately knew where the problem of Steward Li's incomplete cultivation method was. "Now listen to me. Run this cultivation method again. Don't go to the Shinshu acupoint. Go to the Mingmen acupoint. Don't go to the Changxiang acupoint. Go to the Huiyang acupoint." Qin Haodong made a total of 6 changes to his cultivation method. Steward Li ran a large circulation according to the new cultivation method and immediately felt warm all over, without the previous cold feeling. Especially the key part of the man, at this moment, the previous depression was gone and there was a tendency to be restless. "Miracle working doctor, you're really a miracle working doctor." Steward Li was very excited. He didn't expect that when he asked the president for help, the little magic doctor would also cure his illness by accident. Niu Tsuehua and He Ziwei stood in front of the mansion. Although they couldn't hear the two people talking, they saw their performance clearly. Steward Li was arrogant at first, but when he held hands with Qin Haodong, his expression changed greatly. He was excited like something. Not only did he not look arrogant before, but he also nodded and bowed with a fawning face. "Sister Ziwei, guess what they are doing?" Is it possible that our husband likes men? Is he seducing that guy? Ziwei was not as bold as Niu Zuihua. She blushed and said, I don't think so. Niu Zuihua said, I don't think so. With two beauties like us by his side, how can our husband like men? Even if he wants to find a man, he won't find such an ugly steward like Steward Li. But I don't understand why two men are holding hands, and Steward Li's attitude changed so quickly. About 5 minutes later, Qin Haodong cured all the hidden diseases of Steward Li, and the two of them walked back together. After arriving at the gate, Steward Li shouted to the guards in front of the gate, get out of the way. Let the little magic doctor in to treat the president. The guards were also confused, but they didn't dare to disobey the steward's order. They quickly and politely got out of the way. Qin Haodong and the two of them followed Steward Li into the mansion. Lu Xiaoyao's mansion was huge, and the roads were complicated. There were all kinds of guards and secret sentries on the side. Not only that, but there were also array bases and array flags in some corners of the yard. The security was extremely tight. Under the lead of Steward Li, they walked inside together. Niu Zuihua took Qin Haodong's hand and whispered, Husband, what were you two doing sneakily just now? Qin Haodong said, What do you mean sneakily? We were treating the illness openly, okay? Treating the illness? Two men were holding hands secretly. Is that a cure? Niu Zuihua said, Husband, Sister Ziwei was worried that your taste had changed. Ziwei heard their conversation and her cheeks swelled. She said, Sister Zuihua, when did I say that? Qin Haodong was speechless. The first elder of the Ghost King's sect was really unique. He does have a hidden disease in his body. I just treated him with greenwood genuine qi and helped him improve his cultivation method. Qin Haodong said and stared at Niu Zuihua meaningfully, How dare you say that about your husband? It seems that you will be punished tonight. Niu Zuihua glanced at him and said in a sweet voice, Okay, but you have to take Sister Ziwei with you. Ziwei certainly knew what they meant. Her cheeks were so red that it seemed that blood was going to drip out. She lowered her head shyly, and her chin was so low that it almost touched her towering chest. It didn't take long for them to come to a hall. When they walked in, there were already more than a dozen doctors sitting inside. The oldest of these people had white hair, and the youngest was over 40 or 50 years old. They all wore doctor badges on their chests. These people were talking loudly, but when they saw the housekeeper, they immediately stood up respectfully. A white-haired old man said, Housekeeper Li, I'm Ling Hu Chao from the White Tiger Kingdom. I'm here to treat President Lu. Another bearded middle-aged man said, Housekeeper Li, I'm Su Nanzhong from the Vermilion Bird Kingdom. I'm also here to treat President Lu. These people introduced themselves one after another. When they mentioned their names, their faces showed pride. Obviously, these were all famous doctors and they felt that they were qualified to be proud. Although these people claimed to be famous doctors, they also knew the status of Housekeeper Li, so they were very respectful and polite. After they introduced themselves, Ling Hu Chao said, Housekeeper Li, when can we treat President Lu? What's the hurry? Just wait. Housekeeper Li said with an arrogant expression and a cold tone. He didn't mean to be polite to these people at all. Although these people were dissatisfied, no one dared to show it because of Housekeeper Li's status. Chapter 996. After that, Steward Li turned around and his sullen face immediately turned into a smile. Little magic doctor, please have a rest here with the two ladies. I'll invite the president over right away. After that, he arranged for Qin Haodong and the other two ladies to sit down and then left with his men. Ling Hu Chao and the others were all shocked by the scene in front of them. Steward Li had always been arrogant to them. When had he ever been so polite? Who was this young man in front of them? How could Steward Li be so respectful to him? There would be no harm if there was no comparison. This huge contrast made all the doctors on the scene feel extremely uncomfortable. Especially when they heard Steward Li call this man the little magic doctor, they were even more unconvinced. They were all doctors, but why was there such a huge difference in their behavior? Especially Ling Hu Chao, who was a famous magic doctor in the White Tiger Kingdom. He was admired wherever he went. This time, he would not have come all the way to the Azure Dragon Kingdom if it was not for the low-grade immortal crystals. In his opinion, the treatment of this young man in front of him should belong to him. He walked forward and glanced at Qin Haodong. He said disdainfully, "Young man, are you also a doctor?" "Yes, I'm here to treat President Liu." "You're young, but you talk big. Can you treat diseases?" "At your age, how much can you learn even if you started learning medicine since you were born?" Qin Haodong had always been respectful. He was not used to people who were used to flaunting their seniority. He said jokingly, "I can't say whether I can treat diseases or not. Anyway, my medical skills are better than yours." "You're so arrogant. Do you know who I am?" Ling Hu Chao suddenly became angry. "I've lived for so many years and no one has ever dared to say that their medical skills are better than mine." Qin Haodong still said with a smile, "That's because you haven't met me before. You'll know how useless you are when you meet me." In terms of medical skills, he absolutely had the confidence. Su Nanzhong shouted, "Young man, how can you be so arrogant at such a young age? Don't you know manners? Don't you know how to respect your seniors?" As an old monster who had lived for more than 500 years, how could Qin Haodong not know what these old men were thinking? It was obvious that they wanted to show off in front of him to find a sense of superiority. "Seniors?" He sneered, "In terms of medical skills, I can be all of your seniors." Arrogant. He's really too arrogant. Such a young junior dares to speak to an elder like that. Which family is this ignorant kid from? Does he even have the awareness of a young man? Does he even understand etiquette? Teach him a lesson. "I must teach him a lesson today." Hearing Qin Haodong's words, the famous doctors present all jumped up like cats whose tails had been stepped on. Some of the more hot-tempered ones even revealed their cultivation bases, looking as if they would attack at the slightest disagreement. Although they're doctors, they're all martial artists. Old man Ling Hu Chao has already reached the mid-body integration stage, and Su Nanzhong has also reached the early body integration stage. "Let's see who dares." Niu Zuhua shouted angrily, "A bunch of reckless old fools. If my husband says you're trash, then you're trash. What's there to be unhappy about?" While speaking, the momentum belonging to the middle Desheng stage suddenly broke out. The powerful momentum was so oppressive that the people present could not breathe, and some of the cultivators who were too low fell to the ground on the spot. Ling Hu Chao and Su Nanzhong were shocked. They originally thought that Qin Haodong and the others' cultivation bases would not be high because of their age, so they just took the opportunity to step on them and vent their depression. But they never expected that the beautiful and charming Niu Zuehua turned out to be a master at the middle Desheng stage. With this kind of cultivation, even if all of them were tied together, they would not be able to defeat her with one finger. "Humph. We're doctors. We won't lower ourselves to the same level as these juniors." "That's right. We're all famous doctors. We can't lose our identities to the juniors." These people were also old and sophisticated. Seeing that Niu Zuehua could not be provoked, they immediately turned around and retreated. No one dared to say a word anymore. Su Nanzhong was so angry that his beard twitched. He secretly swore in his heart, "When I cure President Liu, with the status of the president of the Pharmacist Guild, I'll definitely teach you a lesson." Although Ling Hu Chao was used to flaunting his seniority, he was not a fool. He did not dare to provoke Niu Zuehua, so he obediently sat back in his seat with the same idea as Su Nanzhong. Seeing these people's angry and dissatisfied expressions, Qin Haodong just smiled slightly. His purpose of coming here was the 10 pieces of low-grade immortal crystals. The rest did not matter at all. Not long after, the door opened again and Steward Li came in from the outside. Behind him, 4 or 5 guards carried a big bed and walked in. An old man about 70 or 80 years old was lying on the bed. He was the president of the Azure Dragon Kingdom's Pharmacist Guild, Lu Xiaoyao. What was surprising was that the big bed was covered with a thick quilt at the moment. The quilt was covered with frost, and even Lu Xiaoyao's beard was covered with ice shards. Everything below his forehead had been frozen, and only his head was still intact. However, his face was livid. Although his eyes were open, his breath looked extremely weak, as if he would freeze to death at any time. Seeing Lu Xiaoyao's appearance, everyone's expression became dignified. Steward Li said, "Everyone, who's going first?" Everyone could see that Lu Xiaoyao's condition was not simple. They looked at each other, and finally, Ling Hu Chao braced himself and walked up. He first circled Lu Xiaoyao and then began to feel his pulse. However, Lu Xiaoyao's arm had been frozen with a thick layer of ice. He had to knock the ice off before he could put his finger on Lu Xiaoyao's pulse. As time passed, Ling Hu Chao's expression became more and more serious. After feeling the pulse, he did not say anything. Instead, he frowned and hid to the side. It seemed that he was thinking about Lu Xiaoyao's condition. The second person to come forward was Su Nanzhong. His method of diagnosis was exactly the same as Ling Hu Chao's. He first observed and then felt the pulse. However, after a while, Lu Xiaoyao's arm was frozen again. He had to knock the ice off again to feel the pulse. About half an hour later, more than a dozen doctors present had treated Lu Xiaoyao. Steward Li asked, "Everyone, do you have any good ideas?" Everyone's eyes focused on Ling Hu Chao again. Ling Hu Chao said, "According to my diagnosis just now, President Lu is not sick, but has suffered an extremely serious internal injury. The person who injured President Lu has a very high cultivation, at least at the Desheng stage. At the same time, he left an extremely cold genuine qi in President Lu's body. This kind of extremely cold genuine qi is too overbearing. It not only froze President Lu's body and meridians, but also his genuine qi. If it goes on like this, President Lu's whole body will be frozen into ice and die in less than 3 days." Steward Li had received too many famous doctors these days. Most of them gave such a diagnosis, so he didn't say anything after listening to it. "There's no problem with the diagnosis. Then, Mr. Ling Hu, do you have any way to cure President Lu?" Ling Hu Chao frowned and said, "With my many years of medical experience, there is a way to cure President Lu's internal injury. First, use the blood of a fire attribute magical beast to drive out the cold qi in the body. However, the level of this magical beast must be at least above the 8th rank, otherwise it will be ineffective. After getting rid of the cold qi, use other methods to repair the meridians that have been eroded by the cold qi in the body, so that he can recover as before." Hearing his treatment plan, Steward Li still looked calm. "Mr. Ling Hu, I'm asking you, can you cure him?" "This." A flash of embarrassment flashed across Ling Hu Chao's face. "I'm sorry, I can't do anything." He really only had the theory of treatment, but he had no means of treatment. Not to mention how difficult it was to find the blood of the 8th rank fire attribute magical beast, he couldn't even repair the injured meridians. According to the ancient records, the rejuvenative acupuncture could achieve this effect of reshaping the meridians, but he had only heard of this magical acupuncture method. He had never seen it for so many years, let alone used it. "It's the same as not saying anything." Steward Li's tone was extremely dissatisfied. He turned his head and looked at Su Nanzhong. "Dr. Su, what do you think?" Su Nanzhong said, "My diagnosis is the same as Mr. Ling Hu's." Steward Li asked, "Just say whether you can cure him or not." Su Nanzhong's old face turned red. He lowered his head and said, "I'm incompetent. There is no way to cure him at present." Steward Li snorted coldly and turned his eyes to the next person. In this way, more than a dozen doctors asked one by one, but none of them could cure Lu Xiaoyao's disease. Looking at the dozens of dejected old men in front of her, Niu Tsuehua burst into laughter. "No wonder my husband said that you are useless. You are really useless. You talk so much, but you can't come up with any solution at the critical moment." Ling Hu Chao said angrily, "Don't be sarcastic. We can't do anything about this disease. Do you think you can cure it?" Nyotsuhua said, of course, my husband can cure it. Ling Hu Chao sneered and said, you really dare to say anything? I'd like to see how you can cure the president today. That's right. You are really boasting. Even we can't cure the disease. What can a child who hasn't even grown hair do? It's ridiculous. He doesn't even have the courage to diagnose the disease, but he says he can cure it. The other doctors were also talking about it. They all pointed their fingers at the calm Qin Haodong. Steward Li said politely, little magic doctor, please give President Liu a diagnosis. Qin Haodong said, I don't need to treat him. I already have the result. Steward Li said quickly, little magic doctor, please listen to your advice. Qin Haodong said, old man Ling Hu is right. President Liu is not sick, but injured by the extremely cold internal strength of a master in the Desheng stage. After he said that, the other doctors suddenly burst into laughter. This brat is really shameless. Is there any meaning in repeating what old Mr. Ling Hu said? Steward Li glared at the crowd and said sternly, since no one can cure him, shut up. After stopping the crowd, he said to Qin Haodong again, little magic doctor, is there any way to cure him? Of course there is. Qin Haodong said, first, use the blood of a magical beast with fire property to drive out the cold in the body, and then repair the meridians that have been eroded by the cold. In this way, President Liu can be completely cured. After he finished, although the others did not speak for the sake of Steward Li, they laughed again. Everyone knew what it meant. They were obviously laughing at Qin Haodong for copying Ling Hu Chao's diagnosis. There was also a flash of disappointment in Steward Li's eyes. Could it be that this little magic doctor just happened to cure his disease, and he could do nothing about President Liu's disease? Qin Haodong sneered, stood up and said, do you think I'm imitating this old man? President Liu's disease is easy to diagnose, but difficult to treat. You can only see where the disease is, but there is no effective way to cure it. This is the difference between me and you good-for-nothings. A touch of joy immediately appeared on Steward Li's face. He asked hopefully, little magic doctor, can you cure President Liu's disease? Chapter 997. Of course. Qin Haodong said without hesitation. That's impossible. It's impossible. We can't cure the disease. How can you say you can cure it? Ling Hu Chao was the first to jump out. The old man had always been very conceited. He thought that if he couldn't cure the disease, others couldn't either. Su Nanzhong followed and said, I think so. Let's not talk about your medical skills. I'm afraid you can't find the blood of an 8th grade magical beast with fire property. Qin Haodong said, you people are really ignorant. You always measure others with your own eyes. Butler Li ignored those people and said eagerly, little magic doctor, please treat the president now. Ling Hu Chao cried, Butler Li, don't be fooled by this little liar. Dr. Su is right. Apart from medical skills, he can't even find the blood of an 8th grade magical beast with fire property. He was talking incessantly. Suddenly, with a bang, a huge fiery red magical beast appeared in front of him. It was the flame golden-eyed beast. As an 8th grade magical beast, the appearance of the flame golden-eyed beast brought a fiery aura. Ling Hu Chao was caught off guard, and his beard was set on fire. He quickly stepped back and clumsily put out the flames on his beard. Then he looked at the big guy in front of him in disbelief. This is the flame golden-eyed beast? Oh my god, this guy really got a 8th grade magical beast with fire property. How is that possible? 8th grade magical beasts already have some spiritual wisdom. They have always been very arrogant and generally won't bow to their master. How did he find it? Qin Haodong's wife was a master in the Desheng stage, which was already very surprising. Now he had summoned an 8th grade magical beast with fire property, which completely refreshed everyone's cognition. To some extent, 8th grade magical beasts were rarer than masters in the Desheng stage. Su Nanzhong was even more shocked. He said with a shocked face, impossible, it's impossible. Qin Haodong smiled slightly and said, "It seems that Dr. Su still doesn't believe me. Then I'll make you believe me completely." Then he moved his mind again and summoned another flame golden-eyed beast from the spirit beast bag. It suddenly appeared in front of Su Nanzhong. This time, the distance was even closer. Not only was Su Nanzhong's beard ignited, even his clothes were emitting black smoke. This made him look even more wretched than Ling Hu Chao. It took him a long time to put out the flames on his body. Everyone was so shocked that their mouths were agape. They had said that it was impossible to get the blood of an 8th-tier fire-attributed magical beast, but in the end, he had gotten 2 of them at once. At this moment, another doctor stepped forward and said, "So what if you found an 8th-rank fire-attribute magical beast? Can it let you take blood? You must know that Class 8 magical beasts are extremely high level. Even if you sign an equal contract with them, they won't let you harm them." It wasn't that this person was ignorant. It was because it was already very impressive for an ordinary cultivator to be able to sign an equal symbiotic contract with an 8th-rank magical beast. No one had ever dared to think that they could sign a master-servant contract with such a huge difference in rank. Qin Haodong didn't say anything. He turned to the male flame golden-eyed beast and said, "I need some blood. You're a man, so I'll take it from you." Holy sh*t, he even brought this. Isn't he courting death? Hearing what he said, everyone stepped back. They were afraid that the flame golden-eyed beast would burn them if it went crazy. But to everyone's surprise, the flame golden-eyed beast didn't show any dissatisfaction. On the contrary, it obediently stretched out its huge hoof, like a child waiting for blood. Qin Haodong first took out a glass bottle, and then cut a small cut on the flame golden-eyed beast's hoof with the Xian Yuan sword. He took a small amount of blood and stopped the bleeding. Then he put it back into the spiritual beast bag. Seeing what he did, everyone was speechless. Not to mention whether he could cure the disease, they couldn't just take the blood of an 8th-rank fire attribute magical beast. Qin Haodong ignored these people. He came to the bed with the blood of the flame golden-eyed beast and removed all the clothes and quilts from Lu Xiaoyao's body. He poured out half of the flame golden-eyed beast's blood in his hand. The energy of the 8th-rank magical beast's blood was extremely strong. After it was poured out, it was like glue. He fed half of the blood to Lu Xiaoyao, and then poured out the remaining half. He rubbed it gently in his palm, and the blood instantly turned into a cloud of blood mist. This cloud of blood mist covered the surface of Lu Xiaoyao's body as if it had a spirit, and then slowly seeped in. The fire attribute of the flame golden-eyed beast's blood was extremely strong. Now that it was taken orally and applied externally at the same time, Lu Xiaoyao soon showed obvious changes. The ice shell covering his body quickly melted, and his originally livid face slowly recovered its color. Even the surrounding temperature seemed to have risen by a few degrees. "My young friend, thank you." Lu Xiaoyao, who had been lying on the bed, finally spoke. Although his injury had not healed, he had gotten rid of the cold, so he already had some strength. The happiest person was, of course, Butler Li. He knew his identity very well. With Lu Xiaoyao around, he could have unlimited glory as a butler. Once Lu Xiaoyao died, he would lose everything. He had always tried his best to cure Lu Xiaoyao's illness. He said excitedly, "Little magic doctor, has the president recovered?" "It's still a long way off." Seeing Qin Haodong's trick, Ling Hu Chao's heart was filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. He said, "Getting rid of the cold is only the first step, but the president's meridians have been seriously damaged by the cold. If it can't be repaired, even if he survives, he will only be a useless person." Su Nanzhong said, "Senior Ling Hu is right. According to my diagnosis just now, the meridians in President Lu's body are seriously damaged. It's very difficult to recover from this kind of injury. I'm afraid only the legendary rejuvenating acupuncture can do it." Ling Hu Chao said, "But as far as I know, this kind of acupuncture has been lost for thousands of years, and no one can do it now. So, President Lu's illness can't be cured by me, and no one else can. After that, His old face showed a touch of relief, as if this kind of illness couldn't be cured by himself, and no one else could cure it, which was the best result. Qin Haodong completely ignored these people who talked big. He came to Lu Xiaoyao's bed, took out his needle bag, and began to treat the disease with acupuncture. Ling Hu Chao's expression changed greatly, and he shouted, "Boy, what are you doing? Didn't you hear what I just said? Except for the rejuvenating acupuncture, no other methods can be used. It will only aggravate President Lu's injury." Su Nanzhong also said coldly, "You will only hurt President Lu if you act recklessly like this." "Stop it now," the others shouted one after another, stewardly, "Stop him quickly. You will hurt President Lu." Hearing the noise around him, Stewardly also hesitated. He didn't know whether to believe these people or Qin Haodong. But at this moment, Ling Hu Chao stood there with a dull look. His eyes were fixed on Qin Haodong's hand as if he were possessed. He murmured, This. Is this the legendary rejuvenating acupuncture?" Su Nanzhong, who was the closest to him, said, "Impossible, how is this possible? The rejuvenating acupuncture has been lost for thousands of years. How could a young boy like him know this kind of acupuncture that defies the natural order?" The others echoed him. No one thought that Qin Haodong could know this legendary acupuncture. Ling Hu Chao circled around Qin Haodong 3 times. After repeated confirmation, he shouted excitedly, "It's really the rejuvenating acupuncture. I didn't see it wrong. I didn't expect that I would be lucky to see the rejuvenating acupuncture after living for so long. My life is really worthwhile." Among the doctors, Ling Hu Chao was undoubtedly the most respected one. Seeing that he was so sure, everyone put down their postures and began to pay attention to Qin Haodong's acupuncture. But before they could see it clearly, Qin Haodong had finished the acupuncture. Stewardly nervously stepped forward and asked, "Little magic doctor, how is my president's illness?" Qin Haodong said, "It's nothing. He will be fine in a while." Then, none of the doctors next to them spoke, and no one made any sarcastic remarks. If the young man in front of them was really proficient in the rejuvenating acupuncture, he was definitely not someone they could provoke. About 10 minutes later, Qin Haodong took back all the silver needles. Then he patted Lu Xiaoyao's chest with his palm and helped him relax his stiff limbs with green wood genuine qi. "Okay, get up." As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Xiaoyao, who was just dying, really sat up from the bed. He looked 100 times more energetic and had completely restored the demeanor of a master of the Desheng stage. My God, President Lu is really cured. It seems that this little brother really used the rejuvenating acupuncture, otherwise it would be impossible to cure such a serious injury. Frogs at the bottom of a well, it seems that we were really short-sighted before. This little brother is not an ordinary person. The doctors present were extremely shocked. They said that they could not get the blood of the 8th-rank magical beast of the fire attribute, but he directly summoned 2. They said that the rejuvenating acupuncture had been lost, but he had already used this set of acupuncture to cure Lu Xiaoyao's injury. In their opinion, it was impossible at all, but he had done it with a raise of his hand. In the midst of many discussions, Ling Hu Chao was sluggish for a moment, then he strode in front of Qin Haodong and bowed deeply. "Little magic doctor, I have studied medicine for many years, but there is too much difference between me and you. I am indeed a waste. I have offended you before, please forgive me, little magic doctor." "What's going on?" The doctors around were stunned, and their eyeballs fell to the ground. Although today's shock was greater than the previous one, they still couldn't accept it. Ling Hu Chao, a leading figure in the medical world, publicly claimed that he was a waste and bowed his head to apologize to a young man. No one would believe it if they said it. Qin Haodong didn't care about these things. What he cared about was the reward of 10 low-grade immortal crystals. He waved his hand and said, "Let bygones be bygones. It's good to know that there is always someone better than you in the future." Yes. You are right, little magic doctor. In this world, some people were crazy about martial arts, some were crazy about love, and Ling Hu Chao was a complete medical fanatic. The reason why he was arrogant before was that he looked down on Qin Haodong's medical skills. Once he found that Qin Haodong's medical skills surpassed his own, his attitude immediately became extremely respectful, like a humble primary school student asking for advice. "Little magic doctor, I have a presumptuous request. I don't know if I should say it or not." Qin Haodong said, "You know it's a presumptuous request, so don't say it." Ling Hu Chao's old face turned red. He said with a red face, "Little magic doctor, no matter what, I have to say it. I want to worship you as my master and learn the rejuvenating acupuncture. I don't know if you can agree to it." Chapter 998. Qin Haodong waved his hand and said, "Forget it. I don't want to accept an old apprentice like you, and I don't have time to teach you." Ling Hu Chao's face flashed with disappointment. At this time, Su Nanzhong stepped forward and said, "Little magic doctor, I'm relatively young. I wonder if you can accept me as your apprentice?" He also put down his pride. There was no other way. The temptation of the rejuvenative acupuncture was too strong for a doctor. No, you're too old." Qin Haodong didn't want to be followed by a group of old men wherever he went. Well, Su Nanzhong was young among many famous doctors. Even he couldn't do it, so the others were extremely disappointed. But at this moment, Qin Haodong said, "It's just the rejuvenative acupuncture. You can use it if you want. I can also teach you without being your apprentice." As a doctor, he would never be selfish. When he was on Earth, because other people didn't have genuine qi, they couldn't practice the rejuvenative acupuncture with qi. But it was different here. Every doctor was a cultivator, so it was suitable for them to learn this set of acupuncture. The more people who knew it, the more patients they could save. This was a good thing with boundless merit. With a thought, a needle book of the rejuvenative acupuncture appeared in his palm. He raised his hand and threw it to Ling Hu Chao. "Take it, old man. Don't hide it when you go back. Everyone can learn it. The more people you save, the better." Ling Hu Chao held the needle book in his hand and couldn't believe it was true. Generally speaking, no matter who got this kind of amazing acupuncture, they would treat it as a secret and wouldn't easily pass it on to others. Unexpectedly, the young man in front of them threw it out like throwing garbage. His generosity was beyond everyone's understanding. "Little magic doctor, this set of acupuncture is passed on to me just like this?" The old man's hands were trembling, and he still couldn't believe it. "It's not passed on to you. Anyone can learn it if they want. Not only everyone here, but also any doctor in the Lingwu continent can learn it. We doctors treat patients and save people. The more people who learn this set of acupuncture, the more patients we can save. Little divine doctor, I thank you on behalf of all the people in the world." Ling Hu Chao held the acupuncture manual in his hand and fell to his knees with a thud. "Little divine doctor, I really admire your magnanimity. Whether you admit it or not, I, Ling Hu Chao, will treat you like a disciple in the future." "That's right, little divine doctor. In the future, when I, Su Nanzhong, see you, I will also treat you like a disciple. Me too, little miracle doctor will be my teacher from now on." For a moment, these old men shook their gray beards, knelt on the ground, and kept kowtowing to Qin Haodong. All right. If there's nothing else, you guys can leave." Qin Haodong waved his hand. Ling Hu Chao left Lu Xiaoyao's mansion with a group of old men in excitement. After they left, Lu Xiaoyao said to Qin Haodong again, "Little magic doctor, thank you for saving my life this time. I can't say that I'm loyal. As a doctor, it's my duty to treat patients and save people. You still have to pay for the consultation fees." What Qin Haodong wanted most now were the 10 low-grade immortal crystals. After all, they were good things that could help him improve his cultivation. "It's my duty." Lu Xiaoyao turned his head and said to Steward Li, "Hurry up and bring all the low-grade immortal crystals in our mansion." Steward Li turned around and left. Soon, he came back with an exquisite box. Lu Xiaoyao took the box and gave it to Qin Haodong. He said, "Little brother, I've accumulated 15 immortal crystals over the years. Now, I'll give them all to you." The reason why he was so generous was that he was really grateful to Qin Haodong. Secondly, he wanted to make friends with this young man with extraordinary medical skills. There were two kinds of people with the highest status in the Lingwu continent. One was an alchemist, who could help people improve their cultivation, and the other was a doctor, who could help people save their lives. No one was willing to miss the opportunity to make friends with a doctor, especially Lu Xiaoyao, who had been on the edge of life and death for a long time. He knew the value of a good doctor. Then I thank you, President Lu. Qin Haodong took the box excitedly. After opening it, there were indeed 15 low-grade immortal crystals in it. Together with the low-grade immortal crystal in his hand, there were a total of 16. He could try to break through the bottleneck of the Mahayana stage. He suddenly gave 5 low-grade immortal crystals, which made him have a good impression of the old man in front of him. He took out a dragon power pill and said, "There is no such thing as an undeserved reward. This pill might be of some use to improve your cultivation." Although the dragon power pill couldn't improve the cultivation of a Mahayana stage powerhouse, it was still very beneficial for cultivation. This is the dragon power pill? As an 8th grade alchemist, Lu Xiaoyao naturally recognized the dragon power pill. He said, "This is a good thing. I wanted to make a furnace of it before, but unfortunately, I couldn't find the dragon saliva. Where did the little miracle doctor get it from? I happen to have a spiritual beast with the bloodline of the dragon clan, so I refined this cauldron of pills." Lu Xiaoyao revealed a shocked expression. "I really didn't expect that the little miracle doctor was already a 7th grade alchemist at such a young age. Heroes really come from the young." Qin Haodong didn't want to continue this topic. He asked, "President Lu, what happened to your injuries?" "It's a long story. The little miracle doctor is my savior. I won't hide it from you. My injuries were caused by people from the Ghost King sect." Hearing that it was related to the Ghost King sect, Qin Haodong asked, "President Lu, did you have a feud with the Ghost King sect?" "It's not a feud, but they wanted to steal something from me." Qin Haodong's heart moved. He asked, "President Lu, don't tell me you also have a black demon bead?" Lu Xiaoyao asked in surprise, "The little miracle doctor also knows about the black demon bead?" Qin Haodong nodded and said, "I happened to hear some legends about the black demon bead." Lu Xiaoyao said, "Since the little miracle doctor also knows about it, then I'll be straightforward. My ancestors were from one of the 7 major families, and I happen to have a black demon bead that was passed down from my ancestors. Originally, this matter was extremely secretive. Even in my family, no one knew about it except for me, but I don't know how the Ghost King sect found out about it. When I went out to pick herbs a few days ago, I was attacked by the 5th elder and the 6th elder of the Ghost King sect, and I was injured like this. The 5th elder injured me with his ice palm in order to force me to hand over the black demon bead. For the common people of the Lingwu continent, I didn't give in." He Ziwei asked, "Then how did you escape?" Lu Xiaoyao said, "The Ghost King sect is powerful. The 5th elder and the 6th elder are both cultivators at the Deshang stage. I was seriously injured, so how could I escape? They let me come back." The people of the Ghost King sect naturally didn't have good intentions. The 5th elder thought that his ice palm was incurable, so his purpose was to make me despair and finally hand over the black demon bead. Unfortunately, they miscalculated. They didn't expect that there would be a miracle doctor like you in the world who cured my injury." Qin Haodong said, "Today is the 10th day, right?" Lu Xiaoyao said, "That's right. According to the agreement, it's today. I think the people of the Ghost King sect will be here soon. Little miracle doctor, I'm grateful to you for saving my life. I don't want you to get involved in this mess. You'd better leave." Qin Haodong said, "President Lu, what are your chances of winning against the people of the Ghost King sect?" "To be honest, I don't even have a 10% chance of winning." The fifth elder and the sixth elder of the Ghost King sect are both at the early stage of the Desheng stage, which is about the same as me. I can barely deal with one of them, but I have no chance of winning against two of them. However, the Ghost King sect is a threat to the world, and the Black Demon Bead is something passed down from my ancestors that must be protected. I won't give it to them even if I die. A trace of loneliness flashed across Lu Xiaoyao's face. If it was on a normal day, I could still invite some friends in Jianghu to help, but it's too late now. So, little miracle doctor, you should leave quickly. The people of the Ghost King sect have always been cruel and merciless. They won't let you go. Qin Haodong had a good impression of this old man, and he just took 5 more low-grade immortal crystals from him, so he decided to help him get through this difficulty. President Lu, we have nowhere to go tonight. Let's stay in your house. If the people of the Ghost King sect come, we may be able to help. Lu Xiaoyao said, Little miracle doctor, I appreciate your kindness, but I really can't. The Ghost King sect is too strong. You'd better leave as soon as possible. As he spoke, there was a sudden commotion outside the room, followed by roars, curses, and fighting sounds. However, the commotion soon ended, and then a low voice sounded in the whole house, Old man Lu, you're not dead yet, right? The 10-day deadline is up. Hurry up and hand over the Black Demon Bead. Lu Xiaoyao said with annoyance, Little miracle doctor, it's too late for you to leave now. Remember what I said. Stay in the room and don't go out. Leave everything to me. After that, he rushed out with Steward Li and the others. Niuzhuhua said, Husband, do you want me to drive these people away? Qin Haodong said, This time is different from the last time. Even if you drive them away now, they will definitely come to trouble President Lu in the future. Niuzhuhua said, What do you want to do? Qin Haodong said, Do you mind if I kill these people of the Ghost King sect? No matter what, Niuzhuhua was the first elder of the Ghost King sect, so he had to consider her feelings before doing anything. Niuzhuhua shook her head and said, The Ghost King sect has always respected the strong, and there is no friendship between them. And these people wear masks all day long. I don't even know what they look like. If they die, they die. It has nothing to do with me. What she said was true. There were only 2 men in the world who could make her care. One was the man she loved the most, and the other was her brother, Li Tianxing, the master of the Ghost King sect. Qin Haodong was worried that Niuzhuhua would object, but he was immediately relieved after hearing what she said. Since you don't object, then I'll kill all these people to avoid future troubles. Niuzhuhua said, Since you want to kill them, I'll do it for you. She was now at the middle stage of the Desheng realm, so it was not difficult for her to kill these 2 elders at the early stage of the Desheng realm. Forget it, I'll do it myself. No matter what, Niuzhuhua was the first elder of the Ghost King sect. Qin Haodong didn't want her to deal with the people of the Ghost King sect unless it was absolutely necessary. After that, the 3 of them went to the window and looked outside. There were dozens of men in black standing in the courtyard outside the window, and the 2 leaders were wearing golden masks. One of them had 5 golden skulls embroidered on his cuffs, and the other had 6 golden skulls. They were the 5th and 6th elders of the Ghost King sect. At the same time, the guards, who had been heavily guarded, were either killed or injured, and there was a lot of wailing. This time, the people of the Ghost King sect were basically masters above the form synthesis stage, especially the 2 leading elders, who had reached the Desheng stage. The difference in strength between the 2 sides was too great. After Lu Xiaoyao came out, he said angrily to the people of the Ghost King sect, Stop. Chapter 999. The 5th and 6th elders were stunned when they saw Lu Xiaoyao. The 5th elder shouted, Old man Lu, you're fine. He was extremely confident in his ice palm. Even if Lu Xiaoyao did not die, he should be half dead. Why did he look fine now? Lu Xiaoyao sneered, I'm very tough. Even if you die, I won't die. The 5th elder said with a gloomy expression, Lu Xiaoyao, even if you find someone to cure the cold poison of the ice palm, so what? As long as the Ghost King's sect wants you dead, we can kill you at any time. The sixth elder followed and said, yes, if you want to live, hand over the black demon bead now, or you'll die. Lu Xiaoyao said, I've already said that I don't know what the black demon bead is. The fifth elder gritted his teeth and said, old man, you really won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. This time, I'll directly cut off your limbs and pick out your tendons. Let's see how arrogant you can be. After that, he moved and struck at Lu Xiaoyao with his palm. As a master of the Desheng stage, he could attract the qi of heaven and earth with just a lift of his hand. Coupled with his unique ice palm, the temperature in the entire courtyard seemed to drop by a few degrees. There were faint snowflakes floating in the air, which showed the strong coldness. Lu Xiaoyao knew that there was no way to retreat, so he also shouted and waved his palm to meet the attack. The two of them fought. After he reached the Desheng stage, he focused on refining elixirs, so his cultivation had not improved much and had been stagnant at the early stage of the Desheng stage for many years. The two of them were equal in power and were locked in a fight for a while. The sixth elder seemed to have lost his patience and shouted, Old man Lu, I'll let you have a taste of ice and fire. After he finished speaking, he attacked Lu Xiaoyao from behind. Caretaker Li wanted to help, but unfortunately, his cultivation was too low. Sixth elder merely waved his sleeves and sent him flying dozens of meters away. Caretaker Li lay on the ground and vomited blood. Fire palm. The sixth elder practiced a fire attribute cultivation method. As soon as he raised his hand, there was a raging fire, as if the air was ignited. The palm wind with a hot breath hit Lu Xiaoyao. Lu Xiaoyao could barely fight the fifth elder to a draw. If the sixth elder were to join the fray, then it would be certain death. However, at this moment, an even larger ball of flame suddenly appeared in front of the sixth elder. To be exact, it was a thick pillar of fire. It swept over like a huge fire dragon and instantly scattered his palm wind. The sixth elder was shocked. His cultivation base had reached the Desheng stage. In addition, he was proficient in the fire attribute cultivation method. For so many years, no one had ever been able to beat him in the flame. He retreated dozens of meters in a row. After he steadied himself, he saw a huge flaming beast standing in front of him. It was the flaming golden eyes beast. At the same time, the other fiery golden eyes beast had joined Lu Xiaoyao's battle. Of course, it was to help Lu Xiaoyao attack the fifth elder. Although the fifth elder was proficient in the cold attribute cultivation method and his cold ice palm was quite proficient, the little bit of cold air he released was useless in front of the flames of the blazing golden-eyed beast. Under the pincer attack of the man and the beast, the fifth elder was soon beaten into a mess. His clothes were burned black and purple, and even his hair was burned off. The sixth elder didn't know where this magical beast came from. He wanted to help the fifth elder, but he was already entangled by the other fiery golden eyes beast. With his cultivation, he could barely fight the fiery golden eyes beast to a draw. He had no advantage at all. The fifth elder's situation became more and more critical. He was accidentally burned by the flames spat out by the fiery golden eyes beast. He turned around and shouted to his subordinates, "What the hell are you doing? Hurry up and attack with me." They had brought 30 men in black with them this time, and each of them was at the form synthesis stage. They agreed and were about to attack the fiery golden eyes beast together. At the moment when the fifth elder was distracted, there was a muffled sound. A bloody hole as thick as an egg suddenly appeared on his right chest. He had been hiding in the room, waiting for an opportunity to snipe with the Barrett. The gun gave the fifth elder a fatal blow. The fifth elder was suddenly seriously injured before he figured out what was going on. Lu Xiaoyao was also a veteran. Although he was also surprised, he didn't let go of this opportunity. He immediately slapped the fifth elder's head. Last time, he was hit by the frost palm, which almost killed him. So this time, he attacked with all his strength without any mercy. With a bang, the fifth elder's head of the Ghost King's sect was smashed like a rotten watermelon. Red and white matter splashed all over the ground. The fiery golden eyes beast then spat out a mouthful of flames, turning the fifth elder's body into a pile of ashes. The sixth elder was shocked. He realized that there were still masters hiding here. After the fifth elder died, his strength was reduced by half. He knew that he couldn't do anything. When he was about to escape with his subordinates, he heard two muffled sounds. His left and right kneecaps were smashed by the sniper rifle. The fiery golden eyes beast seemed to have a tacit understanding with its master. The moment Qin Haodong attacked, it raised its huge paw and stepped on the sixth elder. Then it spat out another mouthful of flames, burning the fifth elder into ashes. Seeing that the two leading elders were dead, the rest of the people of the Ghost King's sect suddenly turned pale with fright. They lost the courage to continue fighting and ran away. Those who were too slow were killed by the fiery golden eyes beast's flames. After the battle, Qin Haodong walked out of the room. With a thought, he put the two fiery golden eyes beasts back into the spirit beast bag. Lu Xiaoyao wiped the sweat on his forehead. This time, he had a narrow escape. Knowing that Qin Haodong had helped him, he came over and said gratefully, "Little magic doctor, thank you for your help. Otherwise, we would have been finished." "You're welcome, President Lu." "It's nothing." Suddenly, Qin Haodong's expression changed. His eyes fell on the pile of ashes that the fifth elder had been burned into. The flames spat out by the fiery golden eyes beast were extremely hot. They had almost reached the realm of congenital fire. After being burned, everything turned into ashes. Even the bones had been turned into powder. A breeze blew, and the small amount of black ashes also scattered in the air, leaving only a black bead. He was very familiar with this bead. It was the black demon bead. It seemed that before they attacked Lu Xiaoyao, the fifth elder and the sixth elder had obtained a black demon bead from somewhere else. They had left it behind after being burned to death. Qin Haodong went over and picked up the black demon bead. It was indeed strange. It felt cold to the touch, and there were no signs of it being burned. No wonder the 7 great families could not destroy it no matter how hard they tried. It was indeed impervious to fire and water. Lu Xiaoyao came over and said, "It seems that this black demon bead was snatched from somewhere else by the Ghost King sect. Fortunately, it fell into the hands of the little magic doctor. If it fell into the hands of these harmful things, who knows what kind of heartless things they would do." Qin Haodong put the black demon bead away. "I'll keep it. As long as I'm here, the Ghost King's sect will definitely not be able to get it." He was indeed confident. If he put the black demon bead in the 7th stage pagoda, no one would be able to snatch it away unless he took it out himself. I didn't expect the little magic doctor to not only have superb medical skills, but also have such a high cultivation. Lu Xiaoyao had clearly seen Qin Haodong kill the 5th elder and the 6th elder. Although he did not know what method Qin Haodong had used, being able to kill experts at the great vehicle stage was a demonstration of his strength. In addition, he had 2 rank 8 pet beasts. This kind of strength was something that he could only look up to. "Little magic doctor, I have a favor to ask." He took out a black demon bead and said, "It's not safe to leave this with me. Little magic doctor, can you help me take care of it? Don't let it fall into the hands of the Ghost King's sect." Qin Haodong hesitated for a moment before saying, "All right then, as long as President Lu can trust me." "I can trust you, of course I can. The only person in this world that I can trust is the little magic doctor." Lu Xiaoyao had been an alchemist all his life, so he was very good at reading people. Just based on the fact that Qin Haodong did not take a single cent from them, and that he had given the rejuvenating needle to Ling Hu Chao and the others regardless of past enmity, Lu Xiaoyao's magnanimity were enough to convince him. It was precisely because of this that he was willing to take out the black demon bead. Qin Haodong reached out to take the black demon bead and put it into the 7th order pagoda. It was no different from herding 1 sheep or letting 2 sheep go. It would be a disaster if it was left in Lu Xiaoyao's hands, so it was better to just take it with him. After settling the matter here, everyone returned to the room. Lu Xiaoyao immediately arranged for someone to prepare rooms for Qin Haodong and the others and asked them to rest. After returning to the room, Qin Haodong said to Niu Cuihua, "Why did the Ghost King sect go around snatching the black demon beads? What's their purpose?" He had always been puzzled about this. At first, he thought that the Ghost King sect had something to do with the alien demon, but he had tested Niu Cuihua's bloodline and found that she was indeed a typical human without any alien demon blood. Otherwise, the two of them would not have been together. Niu Cuihua said, "I'm not too sure about that. It was my brother who gave the order. I didn't ask him what he wanted to do specifically." Although she held the title of Great Elder in the Ghost King sect, she actually did not do much. Taking Qin Haodong away was one of the few things she did. Qin Haodong said, "Legend has it that the black demon bead is a treasure left behind by the alien demon. Gathering 7 black demon beads can awaken the Devil King underground and let the alien demon be reborn. This thing doesn't seem to have any other use. Why do you want it? Do you want to resurrect the Devil King? What good will it do to the Ghost King sect?" Niu Cuihua shook her head and said, "I don't know about that. The Ghost King sect's affairs are all decided by my brother. I rarely ask." Qin Haodong said, "Anyway, it's definitely not a good thing for the Ghost King sect to gather 7 black demon beads. I must stop them." Niu Cuihua said, "Husband, it seems that you have a lot of opinions about the Ghost King sect. In any case, Li Tianxing, the sect master of the Ghost King sect, was also her brother. She did not want the two of them to become enemies." Qin Haodong said, "I don't have much hatred for the Ghost King sect. It was the Ghost King sect who took the initiative to find trouble with me. However, I am enemies with the alien demon, so I must not let the Devil King be resurrected." This was indeed his idea. Once the Devil King was resurrected, he might open a space channel with the Earth. At that time, the consequences would be unimaginable. Niu Cuihua said, "As far as I know, my brother and I are pure human beings. We have nothing to do with the alien demon beads. I don't think he wants to resurrect the Devil King." The next morning, Qin Haodong had just gotten up and found that Lu Xiaoyao was already waiting in front of the door. He asked in surprise, "President Lu, what's the matter?" Chapter 1000. Lu Xiaoyao said, "Little magic doctor, this old man wants to ask you for help." Qin Haodong said, "President Lu, just tell me what you need. I'll do my best to help as long as I can." Lu Xiaoyao said, "It's like this, young divine doctor. To the north of the Azure Dragon City, there is a Sky Thunder Mountain. Many years ago, I passed by there while gathering herbs and accidentally found a legendary Earth Vein Spirit Fruit." Earth Vein Spirit Fruit? Qin Haodong's expression changed greatly. As a medical sage, it was impossible for him not to know this kind of elixir. Legend had it that as long as a human or a spirit beast took the Earth Vein Spirit Fruit, they could quickly awaken their bloodline power. However, he had only read about this kind of elixir in ancient books and had never seen the real thing. Lu Xiaoyao said, "Yes, it's this kind of elixir. This old man has been following it for many years. In a few days, the Earth Vein Spirit Fruit will ripen and be picked. This old man has been stagnant in the Desheng stage for a long time and my cultivation has not advanced even an inch. As long as I get an Earth Vein Spirit Fruit, I can refine the 8th rank elixir, the Life Vein Pill. By then, I can use the Life Vein Pill to advance to the Desheng stage." Qin Haodong was also moved upon hearing this elixir. Although his 3-legged golden toad had the dragon bloodline, it was very difficult for it to continue to evolve. The little witch had now stabilized her holy spirit body and every time she summoned a 7th rank magical beast. If the 3-legged golden toad wanted to advance, devouring a 7th rank magical beast would have little effect. If he could get an Earth Vein Spirit Fruit at this time, it could quickly enhance its bloodline power and grow into a 8th rank spirit beast, which was equivalent to improving his own strength. Although he was happy, he also knew that things would not be so simple. Since Lu Xiaoyao said he had something to ask, it was certainly not to just hand over the earth vein spirit fruit. As expected, Lu Xiaoyao continued, since ancient times, the treasures of heaven and earth have been guarded by spirit beasts. The one guarding this earth vein spirit fruit is a 8th rank spirit beast, the earth bear. This kind of monster is strong enough to rival a mid-stage to Shang stage powerhouse. Moreover, it has been guarding the earth vein spirit fruit and will devour it as soon as it ripens. So if you want to get the earth vein spirit fruit, it's not an exaggeration to say that it's snatching food from a tiger's mouth. Qin Haodong said, "Do you mean that you want me to help you get the earth vein spirit fruit?" That was indeed what Lu Xiaoyao meant. He hadn't thought of asking Qin Haodong for help before. It was only after seeing Qin Haodong's strength last night that he had such an idea. If he wanted to defeat the earth bear alone in the early Dasheng stage, the possibility of getting the earth vein spirit fruit was almost zero. With the help of Qin Haodong, there was a bit more possibility. He said, "Little brother, that's exactly what I meant, but I won't ask you to help me for free. When the earth bear went out to hunt, I once observed this earth vein spirit fruit. There are a total of 5 fruits on it. When the time comes, this old man will only need one to refine a pill. The remaining 4 will all belong to little brother." Qin Haodong said, "President Lu, why didn't you bring back the earth vein spirit fruit if you had the chance?" He had only heard of the effects of the earth vein spirit fruit, but he didn't know much about it. Lu Xiaoyao shook his head and said, "After this old man saw the earth vein spirit fruit, I checked many ancient books and knew that this kind of spiritual thing is born from the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. It's impossible to transplant it. If you can't take the whole earth vein spirit fruit away, it's useless to pick the fruit alone, because the earth vein spirit fruit has no medicinal effect before it matures, and it's useless to eat it. It's precisely because of this that the earth bear has been waiting for the fruit to mature." "Oh." Qin Haodong nodded and asked, "How long until the earth vein spirit fruit matures?" Lu Xiaoyao said, "There are still 3 days." Qin Haodong said, "Well, let's go and have a look now." He had already made up his mind to get the earth vein spirit fruit. This thing was too important to him. First, it could help the 3-legged golden toad to advance to the 8th rank. Second, if the little witch took it, she might be able to make the Holy Spirit body awaken for the 3rd time. The little witch was almost invincible among the 7th rank. Once she could become an 8th rank summoner, that kind of strength would be simply unimaginable. Seeing that Qin Haodong agreed to help, Lu Xiaoyao was overjoyed and said, "Great. Little magic doctor, let's get ready and set off immediately." Qin Haodong went back and told Niuzuehua and He Ziwei about this matter, and the 2 girls naturally had no objection. After breakfast, the 3 left the little Azure Dragon City with Lu Xiaoyao and rushed toward the Sky Thunder Mountain. The Sky Thunder Mountain was not too far from the little Azure Dragon City, and they arrived at their destination near noon. Lu Xiaoyao pointed to the front and said, "Our destination is 10 miles ahead. The earth bear is an 8th rank magical beast, and it's very sensitive. We must be careful and try to hide our breath, or it'll be troublesome if it finds us." Qin Haodong and the other 2 nodded and walked forward with Lu Xiaoyao. In front of them was an empty valley with no end in sight. At the edge of the valley was a huge cave, and the earth vein spirit fruit grew in this cave. But when Qin Haodong and the others arrived at the cave, they found that there were already many people gathered here. Obviously, these people also came for the earth vein spirit fruit. Lu Xiaoyao was also stunned as he didn't expect this secret to be known by others. After observing these people from afar, he said, "Oh no, these are the people of the Azure Dragon royal family. If it was other ordinary martial artists, they might have a chance to fight for it, but it was difficult to deal with the Azure Dragon royal family. After all, no one in the Azure Dragon Kingdom dared to provoke the Azure Dragon royal family." Niuzuehua said with disdain, "What's so great about the Azure Dragon royal family? The earth vein spirit fruit is a treasure of heaven and earth, and it wasn't planted by them." Lu Xiaoyao said, "Young lady, it's true, but we really can't afford to offend the Azure Dragon royal family. Heziwei said, are we just going to give up like this? Lu Xiaoyao said, let's go over and discuss and see if we can work together. If the Azure Dragon royal family refuses, we can only give up. Qin Haodong was quite understanding. After all, the Alchemist Union was under the eyes of the Azure Dragon royal family, and they had to be responsible for the hundreds of alchemists under them. He stopped Niu Zuehua, who was about to say something, and said, let's do as President Lu said and see if we can work together. Lu Xiaoyao nodded and led the group forward. They had only taken a few steps when a dozen palace guards came to greet them. These people were obviously hand-picked elites, and every one of them had a cultivation above the form synthesis realm. Stop, what are you guys doing? A guard leader called out. This old man is Lu Xiaoyao of the Alchemist Union. May I ask who's in charge here? Hearing that the other party was the president of the Alchemist Union, the guard leader's expression immediately eased up and said, it's His Highness the Eldest Prince. Lu Xiaoyao said, can you help me inform him that Lu Xiaoyao is here to see the Eldest Prince? President Lu, please wait a moment. After the guard leader finished speaking, he turned and entered the camp. Not long after, a young man around 30 years old walked out. This person was dressed magnificently and had an imposing aura. He was the eldest prince of the Azure Dragon Kingdom, Li Zhen. After seeing Lu Xiaoyao, he went forward and said, President Lu, why are you here? Lu Xiaoyao said, I've been observing this earth vein spirit fruit for a long time and wanted to try my luck today. I didn't expect to meet His Highness the Eldest Prince. Li Zhen said, President Lu, since you've been paying attention for a long time, you must know that this place is guarded by the Earth Bear. Although the Earth Vein Spirit Fruit is good, you won't be able to get it. Please leave. Lu Xiaoyao said, His Highness the Eldest Prince, can we work together? There are a total of 5 fruits in this Earth Vein Spirit Fruit. We only need 2. A trace of contempt flashed across Li Zhen's face. President Lu, our Azure Dragon royal family can obtain this Earth Vein Spirit Fruit with our own strength. There's really no need to work with you. Previously, he was polite to Lu Xiaoyao on account of the Alchemist Union's president. However, this politeness was only on the surface. Once it involved actual benefits, it wouldn't do. This, Lu Xiaoyao had been staring at it for a long time. He was still unwilling to just give up. As if seeing through his thoughts, Li Zhen continued, President Lu, to be honest, my younger sister is injured and urgently needs this Earth Vein Spirit Fruit to heal her. Moreover, our Azure Dragon royal family has sent a middle-stage Great Ascension Realm and 2 early-stage Great Ascension Realm cultivators. There's no need to work with anyone. Hearing that the other party was so powerful, Lu Xiaoyao sighed. It seemed like he could only give up. His Highness the Eldest Prince, I'll take my leave now. Li Zhen said, President Lu, take care. Qin Haodong stopped Niu Zuehua again and left the valley with Lu Xiaoyao. After they were far away from the Azure Dragon royal family, Lu Xiaoyao said apologetically, Little Miracle Doctor, I'm really sorry for making you come here for nothing. However, the situation has changed and I can't do anything about it. Qin Haodong said, it's all right. After all, it's the Azure Dragon royal family. We can't afford to offend them. Lu Xiaoyao smiled apologetically and said, I wonder what the Little Miracle Doctor's next step is? Why don't you stay at our little Azure Dragon city for a few days? Qin Haodong said, we appreciate President Lu's kindness. Since we can't get the Earth Vein Spirit Fruit, we don't want to stay here anymore. We want to go to the Azure Dragon royal city. All right then. Little Miracle Doctor, we'll meet again if fate allows it. Lu Xiaoyao said goodbye to them and flew towards the little Azure Dragon city. After he left, Niu Zuehua said, Husband, are we just going to give up like this? Of course not. We have to get the Earth Vein Spirit Fruit. Qin Haodong said, but the president is from the Alchemist Union after all. It's not good for him to do it. It's better for us to do it ourselves. Niu Zuehua said excitedly, that's right. The Azure Dragon royal family is *T. Let's go and kill them all now. By then, the Earth Vein Spirit Fruit will be ours. She was originally fearless. Plus, she already had a feud with the Azure Dragon royal family, so she didn't care at all. Qin Haodong shook his head and said, "We can't do it by force. Didn't you hear that they have a middle-stage great vehicle expert and 2 early-stage great vehicle experts?" Nyotsuhua said, "What's so great about that? Leave the middle-stage great vehicle expert to me and the flaming golden eyes beast. I don't believe we can't kill them. That won't work. Fighting with force is always the worst strategy. Even if we win in the end, it will be a Pyrrhic victory. Maybe both sides will be hurt. The Earth Vein Spirit Fruit is a treasure of heaven and earth. Who knows how many people will be eyeing it? Now that the Azure Dragon royal family has appeared, who knows if there will be other masters playing with them?" Qin Haodong was very clear about the strength of both sides. Compared to them, his side was still at a disadvantage. After all, Nyotsuehua had just stepped into the middle stage great vehicle. There was definitely a gap between her and the other side's experienced middle stage great vehicle experts. His sniper rifle was useless against middle stage great vehicle experts. Nyotsuehua said, "The Azure Dragon royal family is waiting there. How can we get the Earth Vein Spirit Fruit if we don't kill them?" Chapter 1001. Not to mention that we are not strong enough, even if we kill them, we may not be able to get the Earth Vein Spirit Fruit. Qin Haodong said, "The Earth Bear is a rank 8 magical beast, and its strength is comparable to the strong in the middle Dashang stage. If it stays in the cave and swallows the Earth Vein Spirit Fruit after it ripens, there's really nothing we can do." He Ziwei asked, "Then what should we do?" Qin Haodong said, "Don't worry, there will always be a way. After all, there are still 3 days. Let's take a look at these people from the Azure Dragon Kingdom first. They came prepared, maybe they have a way to deal with the Bear of Earth." Nyotsuhua asked, "Then what should we do?" Qin Haodong said, "Wait a minute. I'll go and find out the situation when it gets dark. We'll act according to the circumstances." Nyotsuhua said, "No, it's too dangerous for you to go alone. I want to go with you." He Ziwei added, "Me too. I want to go with you." Qin Haodong waved his hand and said, "It's not easy to hide when there are more people. The other party has a master in the middle Dashang stage. If it's not good, it will be discovered. At that time, all the work will be wasted." Nyotsuhua said, "But we are worried about you going alone." Qin Haodong said, "I have a way. You two hide in the 7th Order Pagoda first. Once I'm in danger, I'll immediately summon you to help. This way, it's convenient for us to conceal ourselves and ensure our strength. It's the best way." Nyotsuhua thought about it and said, "That's a good idea, but you have to promise me that if there's any danger, you have to let me out. Don't worry. If it's an emergency, I'll ask for your help." After their discussion, the 3 of them entered the 7th level pagoda and rested for a while. After the sky turned dark, Qin Haodong exited the 7th tier pagoda, used another invisibility talisman, and quietly made his way to the Azure Dragon royal family's camp. He was extremely careful along the way. After all, the other party had a master in the middle Dashang stage. Although the invisibility talisman could conceal one's aura, one could not use a large amount of true qi. Otherwise, it would be easy to be discovered by the other party. He carefully passed through the guards at the edge of the camp and slowly came inside. In the middle of the camp, there was a large golden tent, which should be where First Prince Li Zhen was staying. He quietly came to the back of the tent and slowly released his primordial spirit to investigate the situation inside. There were a total of 3 people in the tent. One of them was a sickly woman lying on the bed. Her face was pale and she looked extremely weak. It was the second Princess Li Mengyao who had escaped from the Vermilion Bird Kingdom. Seeing her situation, Qin Haodong immediately understood. It seemed that the talisman could save her life. It wasn't for nothing. He had extracted a large amount of Li Mengyao's essence blood, which was why he was so weak. Beside Li Mengyao stood the eldest prince Li Zhen and another old man with white hair and beard. Li Zhen said, "Mengyao, don't worry. When I get the earth vein spirit fruit, not only will your body recover, it will also improve." "Thank you, big brother." Li Menyao's eyes flashed with hatred. She clenched her teeth and said, "Big brother, no matter what, you have to help me get rid of that Qin brat. It's all because of him that I'm like this now." Li Zhen's expression was sinister as he said, "Don't worry. Since he dares to go against the Azure Dragon royal family, I will tear him into pieces sooner or later." The white-haired old man said, "The most important thing now is to get the earth vein spirit fruit. By then, not only can we replenish the energy that the second princess has lost, but we can also help the eldest prince reach the early stage of the Great Ascension realm." Speaking of this, Li Mengyao said worriedly, "Big brother, I heard that there is an earth bear guarding the earth vein spirit fruit. Do we have a way to get it?" "Don't worry. No matter how powerful that thing is, it is just a beast. How can it defeat us?" Li Zhen said, "Elder Wang and Elder Li Tianxiong are from the same sect and are both proficient in the dragon trap formation. He has already set up a formation in front of the cave. As long as we lure the earth bear out, we can trap it there. By then, the earth vein spirit fruit will be ours." As the second princess of the Azure Dragon Kingdom, Li Mengyao knew a little about these things. She said, "But the earth vein spirit fruit is about to ripen. The earth bear has been guarding there all this time. How can it come out?" Elder Wang's name was Wang Minghai. He smiled proudly and took out a long black incense. He said, "Second princess, this is the beast saliva incense that I carefully refined." Qin Haodong looked at the incense in his hand and saw that it was completely different from ordinary incense. The surface was covered with dark green patterns that looked like the scales of a fish. "Elder Wang, what is the use of this beast saliva incense?" Wang Minghai said proudly, "This thing is refined from the scales of 5 high-level spirit beasts. It has a special aroma and is especially tempting to the earth bear. Also, this incense has its own special feature. After it is lit, the incense can move according to the mind of the person who lit it and choose any direction." Li Mengyao asked doubtfully, "Is this thing really that magical?" Wang Minghai said, "Of course. Soon, the second princess will see its effect." He said to Lu Zhen, "Your Highness, when do we start?" Lu Zhen said, "Elder Wang is an expert in this. When do you think is the right time?" Wang Minghai said, "According to my experience, now is the right time." Li Mengyao said, "Isn't it early? There are still more than 2 days before the earth vein spirit fruit ripens." "Your Highness, you don't understand this." Wang Minghai said, "Although the beast saliva incense is very tempting to the earth bear, if we wait until the earth vein spirit fruit ripens, I'm afraid it will be difficult to lure it out. After reaching the 8th rank, the magical beasts basically have a certain level of intelligence. It knows that no one can take the earth vein spirit fruit, so it is willing to come out. If we wait for another day or 2, I'm afraid it won't come out even if we put the dragon meat here." Lu Zhen nodded and said, "Elder Wang is right. Let's do as you say." After that, the 3 of them walked out of the tent and came to the cave where the earth bear lived. Qin Haodong followed them secretly. At this time, he had already felt the faint fluctuation of spiritual power in front of the cave. It should be the hidden dragon formation that had been set up long ago. Wang Minghai and the other 2 came to the edge of the hidden dragon formation and stood there. They flicked out a Dan fire and lit the beast saliva incense in their hands. The incense was indeed strange. After it was lit, the fragrance floated straight up into the sky like a straight line and didn't dissipate for a long time. Then, under the control of Wang Haiming's mind, it immediately drilled into the cave where the earth bear lived like a spirit snake. Qin Haodong's spirit was unusually strong. When he swept into the cave, he saw a big bear the size of a small mountain squatting in the cave. This big brown bear was the earth bear, an 8th rank magical beast with super strong defense. In front of it was a small pond, and in the middle of the pond was a small green tree. There were 5 bright red fruits hanging on the tree, and they looked very attractive. These were the earth vein spirit fruits. However, these earth vein spirit fruits weren't completely red yet. Some places were still green. When they were completely red, they would truly ripen, and then they would become the earth vein spirit fruits that could enhance the power of bloodline. The earth bear was originally lying quietly by the pool, staring at the earth vein spirit fruits without blinking. At this moment, the fragrance of the beastly fragrance floated in from outside. After smelling this fragrance, the earth bear suddenly sat up and sniffed hard. In an instant, saliva flowed down from the corner of its mouth. It was obvious that this thing was very tempting to it. It looked at the earth vein spirit fruits in the pool and sniffed the fragrance in its mouth. Its face actually showed a conflicted expression similar to that of a human. It wanted to go out and find the source of the fragrance, but it was reluctant to part with the earth vein spirit fruits in front of it. It walked around the cave a few times, and finally, as if it had made up its mind, it walked step by step towards the entrance of the cave. This guy was huge and had amazing strength. Every step it took felt like the earth was shaking. Li Zhen and the others were guarding outside the cave. When they felt the shaking of the earth, their faces revealed a look of surprise. Since there was movement, it meant that the earth bear had been tempted by the beastly fragrance and was ready to come out. As long as this guy entered the dragon-laying trap formation, it would completely become a meat on their chopping board. They could deal with it however they wanted. They hid together behind a huge rock, and Wang Minghai kept activating the fragrance of the beastly fragrance. At the same time, Li Zhen ordered the experts brought by the Azure Dragon royal family to hide as well. After a moment, the huge body of the earth bear appeared at the entrance of the cave. As it drooled, its 2 small black eyes looked at the opposite side. Then, it lifted its huge soul and walked step by step towards the dragon-laying trap formation. Wang Minghai and the other 2's faces flashed with excitement. It was obvious that this magical beast was going to fall for it. But at this moment, the earth bear suddenly stopped in its tracks. It sharply glanced in front of it, then lifted its huge soul and stomped hard on the ground. After becoming a rank 8 magical beast, it already had a certain level of spiritual intelligence. Moreover, the earth bear was different from the blazing golden eyes beast. It was an earth attribute magical beast and was more sensitive to the energy changes in the ground. Although Wang Minghai's method of setting up the dragon-laying trap formation was brilliant, he still couldn't hide the energy fluctuations and was seen by the earth bear. After it stomped down, the huge energy quickly turned the ground over. The array board and array flags buried underground were all dug out and turned into a pile of powder. Oh no, this beast actually knows how to break the formation. Wang Minghai was shocked. He didn't expect that his painstaking preparation would be ruined by this earth bear's stomp. In fact, he didn't think it through. To deal with this kind of earth attribute magical beast, there might be a chance of success if he changed the method. After a successful move, the earth bear actually showed a human-like smile at the corner of his mouth, and then he strode over here. Li Mengyao said to Li Zhen nervously, "Big brother, what should we do? What are you afraid of? We brought so many experts, can't we trap a bear?" Although Li Zhen's expression was cold, as the eldest prince of the Azure Dragon Kingdom and the future heir to the throne, he didn't panic too much. "Elder Wang, gather people immediately. No matter what, we have to trap this earth bear outside the cave until we get the earth vein spirit fruit." This time, they used quite a lot of strength. Wang Minghai was a middle-stage great vehicle expert and there were 2 other early-stage great vehicle experts. Although the 3 of them couldn't kill the earth bear, they could still stop it outside the cave. "Yes, Your Royal Highness." Wang Minghai responded and let out a sharp whistle. The experts of the Azure Dragon royal family who were hiding in the surroundings pounced on the earth bear. He himself went around the boulder and cut off the earth bear's retreat. Qin Haodong saw all this, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. A good opportunity had come. He switched to another invisibility talisman, and then quietly sneaked into the cave. Chapter 1002. Li Zhen and Li Mengyao had been watching the battle from the sidelines and were not in a hurry to enter the cave. Since the earth bear could come out, it meant that there was still some time before the earth vein spirit fruit ripened. Even if they entered the cave now, they would not be able to pick it. On the contrary, it would arouse the beast's ferocious nature, making it difficult to control. The earth bear did not care about the oncoming crowd and continued to walk towards the boulder while drooling. When it came to the back of the boulder, it realized that the source of the fragrance was actually a stick of incense. It knew that it had been tricked and immediately let out an earth-shattering roar and smashed the incense with a slap. Even so, it seemed that it could not vent the anger in the earth bear's heart, and it slapped the boulder in front of it again. With a loud bang, the boulder, which was originally nearly 100 tons in weight, was smashed into pieces by this guy's slap. The broken pieces flew around like raindrops. Roar, the earth bear already had a certain level of spiritual intelligence. As if it knew the purpose of being tricked, it ignored the crowd and strode towards the cave. Li Zhen shouted from the side, "Hurry up and stop it. We cannot let this beast return to the cave no matter what." With the power of the earth bear, if it guarded the cave, they would not be able to attack it no matter what. When the earth vein spirit fruit ripened, it would definitely be eaten by this guy. By then, even the gods would not be able to snatch it back. After hearing the first prince's order, the Azure Dragon royal family brought nearly 100 guards with a shout. They took out the bows and arrows on their backs and shot at the earth bear. Although their bows and arrows were not as good as the god-killing arrows, they were still meticulously made by the royal family. In addition, these guards were at least at the form synthesis stage. Every arrow that was shot out carried great power. For a moment, the sharp sound of the arrows tearing through the air was heard and shot towards the earth bear like raindrops. But this guy did not care about it at all. It only looked at them with contempt and walked straight towards the cave entrance. These arrows were shot accurately at the earth bear, but everyone was surprised to find that the steel arrows could not penetrate its seemingly soft fur. One by one, they all broke into two halves and fell to the ground with a crackling sound. Among the 8th grade magical beasts, the earth bear had two characteristics. First, it had an amazing defense, and second, it was extremely strong. Not to mention this kind of ordinary bow and arrow, even a god-killing arrow couldn't do anything to it. Seeing that the arrows had lost their effectiveness, Li Zhen once again shouted to his men, "Go, we must stop it." The guards put away their bows, drew out their weapons, and rushed towards the earth bear. A late body integration stage guard swung his saber down viciously toward the bear's head. This guy didn't dodge at all. When the saber struck its head, it was as if it had struck steel. Unexpectedly, the sound of metal clashing rang out. Then the earth bear swung its huge front paw and slapped the guard away. The force of the slap was so great that the guard was turned into a pile of minced meat the moment he was hit. He crashed into a mountain rock and completely turned into a pile of minced meat. It was impossible to tell that he was still human. Through this attack, the earth bear seemed to have been stimulated. After a howl, it rushed to the crowd. In the blink of an eye, dozens of people died under its claws. Li Zhen and Li Mengyao's expression changed. This guy's strength was too strong. At this time, Wang Minghai shouted, "Those below the Great Ascension stage, retreat to the side to help. You are not its opponent." After hearing the shout, the guards all retreated. After all, everyone only had one life. The big guy in front of them was too fierce. At this time, a figure wearing a black robe rushed to the earth bear and raised his hand to slap its head. The earth bear still didn't dodge and slapped its paw back. The black robe man was another early-stage Great Ascension stage expert of the Azure Dragon royal family. Naturally, he was much more flexible than the other guards. After the slap, he quickly retreated using the recoil force and dodged the earth bear's paw. Although he wasn't injured, this slap did not have much effect. Hitting the earth bear's body was like scratching an itch. On the other side, another early-stage Great Ascension stage expert inserted a sword into the back of the earth bear's head. Although the sword in his hand was not a great weapon like the Xianyuan sword, it was absolutely sharp. It was a treasure sword, but it still had no effect on the earth bear. It couldn't even break the basic defense. The earth bear casually clawed, and the early-stage Great Ascension stage expert was shocked and flew dozens of meters away. Seeing that this guy was so fierce, everyone's eyes showed a look of horror. They couldn't break the defense at all. With such a strong attack power, how could they fight this battle? At this time, Wang Minghai made a move. The sword in his hand made a whistling sound. Like a swimming dragon, it fiercely stabbed the triangular region under the earth bear's neck. The experienced people knew that this was the location of the earth bear's heart. It could be said to be a vital part. He was a master in the middle stage of the Great Ascension stage. His strength was far higher than the others. The earth bear seemed to feel the power of this sword. It no longer ignored it as before. Instead, it raised its paw and slapped the sword. Only to hear a snapping sound, Wang Minghai's long sword stabbed the earth bear's hoof claw. This time it finally broke through the defense and brought out a line of blood on the earth bear's claw. Under the strong shock, Wang Minghai was also shaken out dozens of meters. His wrist was numb and the sword almost fell to the ground. Although the claw of the earth bear was pierced, it was only a very shallow wound. Moreover, this guy's defense and self-healing ability were amazing. In the blink of an eye, the wound had healed itself. What the hell? How can we fight like this? It's not easy to make a little injury, but it healed in the blink of an eye. Li Zhen was stunned. Fortunately, their purpose was not to kill the earth bear. They just wanted to drag it outside the cave and wait for 2 days to go in and pick the earth vein spirit fruit. After the earth bear was injured, it seemed to enter a state of rage. For so many years, no one had been able to make it bleed. In extreme anger, this guy seemed to forget the earth vein spirit fruit in the cave, and rushed madly toward Wang Minghai. Although Wang Minghai was also in the middle stage of the Desheng stage, he did not dare to confront the earth bear in a state of rage. He could only adopt a wandering tactic. The angry earth bear could knock down a forest with a casual wave of its hand, and blow up a small mountain with a punch. In this state, even the 2 people in the early stage of the Desheng stage did not dare to come forward to help. Qin Haodong ignored the battle outside and sneaked into the cave alone. This was the territory of the earth bear. Other creatures did not dare to enter on weekdays. He came to the front of the pool unimpeded. Looking at the 5 earth vein spirit fruits on the small tree, Qin Haodong felt a burst of joy. With this thing, not only could he make the 3-legged golden toad advance, but he could also make the little witch's holy spirit body awaken for the 3rd time. He crossed the pool and came to the earth vein spirit fruit. For ordinary people, this kind of earth vein spirit fruit must wait for 3 days to ripen, but he was different. He was the Green Wood Emperor. Although the earth vein spirit fruit was magical, it was also one of the plants of the wood attribute. Qin Haodong pointed at the root of the earth vein spirit fruit and slowly injected the green wood genuine qi. Then a strange scene appeared. The small tree in front of him quickly grew a few centimeters, and then the 5 fruits on the tree grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. The red place was getting bigger and bigger. It only took a few minutes for them to be ripe. After the earth vein spirit fruit was ripe, it quickly emitted a refreshing fragrance, which made people feel comfortable all over. It's done. Qin Haodong shouted in his heart and raised his hand to collect all the 5 earth vein spirit fruits. He did not pay attention to the small tree of the earth vein spirit fruit. This kind of spiritual thing must be kept. After a few years, the earth vein spirit fruit would be picked again. After he succeeded, he did not stop. He quickly rushed to the cave entrance and left in the blink of an eye. Outside the cave, the earth bear was in a state of madness. A series of crazy attacks made Wang Minghai very embarrassed. Wang Minghai secretly complained in his heart. According to this situation, it was really hard to say whether he could hold the earth bear for 2 days. This guy was too fierce. Not only did it have inexhaustible strength, but its defense was also super strong. He could not cause substantial damage to it at all. At this moment, the earth bear suddenly stopped waving its claws. It first sniffed hard, then ignored Wang Minghai and rushed to the cave. After guarding the earth vein spirit fruit for so many years, it naturally knew the smell of the fruit when it was ripe. He did not know why it smelled the fragrance of the earth vein spirit fruit just now. This made the earth bear no longer calm. The reason why it dared to stay here unscrupulously was that the earth vein spirit fruit was not ripe. If it was not ripe, it would be of no value to others and would not be picked up. But now it was different. The earth vein spirit fruit exuded a ripe fragrance. It must go back and swallow it as soon as possible, so it would be safe. Seeing the earth bear rushing madly to the cave, Wang Minghai did not come back to his senses for a while, and the other 2 guards in the early Deshang stage rushed to stop it. However, their strength was still relatively weak, and they were all sent flying by the earth bear with a slap. They fell to the ground and vomited mouthfuls of blood. Seeing the power of the earth bear, the other guards stood aside and did not dare to come forward. Even the early Deshang stage was not its opponent. If they came over, they would only be sending food. In such a delay, the earth bear had already rushed into the cave. It came to the pool at the fastest speed, but found that there was only a bare tree left. The earth vein spirit fruit that had been guarded for many years was gone, and the surrounding air was still filled with the faint fragrance of the earth vein spirit fruit after it was ripe. This time the earth bear was completely furious. It had guarded it for so many years, but in the blink of an eye, it was picked up by others, which made it completely fall into a state of madness. It must be those despicable humans outside. They lured me out, and it must be their accomplices who stole my earth vein spirit fruit. The earth bear, who already had spiritual wisdom, put this black pot firmly on the heads of Li Zhen and others. Since it identified the murderer, it must take revenge. It turned its head and rushed out of the cave. Chapter 1003. The earth bear suddenly went into the cave, which made Li Zhen and the others at a loss for a while. Li Mengyao said, "What happened? Why did the bear suddenly run back?" Wang Minghai said, "I just smelled a fragrance. It seems that the earth vein spirit fruit is ripe." Li Zhen's expression changed. "It ripened so quickly? Didn't they say it would take more than 2 days?" Wang Minghai said, "I'm not sure about that, but looking at the earth bear, it should be the result." Li Zhen shouted, "Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and grab it, at least get 1 earth vein spirit fruit. Whoever can grab the earth vein spirit fruit, this king will reward him with 2 low-grade immortal crystals." This was definitely a big reward, whether it was for Wang Minghai or the other guards. 2 low-grade immortal crystals was enough to make them fight for their lives. As the saying goes, under a big reward, there will be brave men. These people roared and rushed into the cave. Who knew that when they just arrived at the cave entrance, they would run into the earth bear? An angry earth bear was much more powerful than a tank. It was not something these people could contend with at all. More than a dozen guards who rushed in front had their bones broken, including an early Mahayana realm guard, whose sternum was directly broken by the earth bear. After falling to the ground, it stepped on him fiercely, turning him into a meat paste. Everyone hurriedly retreated. In such an encounter, a total of more than 20 people were killed or injured. The earth bear's anger was not vented at all. It roared again and rushed towards Wang Minghai and the others. Li Zhen and Li Mengyao stood next to them. Seeing the earth bear leave the cave, still so angry, they were extremely puzzled. "Big brother, what's going on? Why did the earth bear suddenly go crazy?" Li Zhen also looked inexplicable. "I don't know, let's go in and see now." He pulled Li Mengyao. The 2 sneaked into the cave and walked inside. The cave of the earth bear was very simple. Soon they came to the side of the pool and saw the lonely small tree inside. Li Mengyao said, "Big brother, is this the earth vein spirit fruit?" Li Zhen said with a calm face, yes, this is the tree of the earth vein spirit fruit, but the fruit on it is gone. Where is the fruit? Could it have been eaten by the earth bear? Li Zhen shook his head and said, definitely not. If the earth bear ate the fruit, it wouldn't be so angry. It must have lost the earth vein spirit fruit and thought that we stole it, so it crazily retaliated against us. Li Mengyao said in surprise, what's going on? We didn't get the earth vein spirit fruit, and we didn't eat the earth bear either. Is there a third person here? Li Zhen frowned and said, normally speaking, this isn't possible. Only our Azure Dragon royal family came here. Furthermore, we have been keeping an eye on the cave entrance, and no one has entered. How could there be other people? Li Mengyao said, but, how could the earth vein spirit fruit be lost? Li Zhen's expression suddenly changed. Could it be they stole the earth vein spirit fruit? Who is it? Could it be that someone else has been here? Li Zhen said, a few hours ago, the president of the Azure Dragon Kingdom's Alchemist Association, Lu Xiaoyao, brought 3 people here. Initially, they wanted to cooperate with me to snatch the earth vein spirit fruit, but I rejected them. Could it be that they didn't leave, but secretly stole the earth vein spirit fruit? Li Mengyao also knew Lu Xiaoyao. She said, that's not very possible. Lu Xiaoyao is only in the early stages of Great Ascension Realm. It's impossible for him to steal the earth vein spirit fruit under the eyes of us and the earth bear. No matter what, we have failed this time. Let's leave this place first. Otherwise, it will be troublesome when the earth bear returns. With that said, the 2 of them hurriedly left the place. Outside the cave, the Azure Dragon Kingdom's guards were locked in a fierce battle with the earth bear. The enraged earth bear grabbed another Great Ascension Realm guard and sat on his butt, turning him into meat paste. Wang Minghai also found an opportunity to stab his long sword into the earth bear's chest. It was a pity that the earth bear's defense was too strong. The treasured sword only managed to stab about 2 inches in before stopping. His arm was torn off by the earth bear's claws. Seeing his men being beaten up so miserably, Li Zhen shouted, the earth vein spirit fruit has been lost. Everyone, don't continue fighting. Hurry and retreat. Hearing the order of the eldest prince, the guards immediately fled in all directions as if they had heard the sound of nature. Although the earth bear was powerful, its only flaw was that it could not fly. Seeing that everyone had flown into the sky, it could only vent its anger on the surrounding rocks and trees on the ground. Wang Minghai lost an arm and his face was pale. After simply dealing with the injury, he said to Li Zhen, Your Royal Highness, what the hell is going on? I don't know. In short, the earth vein spirit fruit in the cave has been picked by someone. Wang Minghai said in surprise, how is this possible? There is only one entrance to the cave. We have been guarding here all this time. How could someone get in? Who would have known? If I find out who did it, I'll cut him into 1,000 pieces. Li Zhen was furious. He had led his men to fight with the earth bear outside, but the fruit was picked by someone else. This kind of depression made him want to vomit blood. This time, he had come here with a middle-stage Mahayana realm and 2 early-stage Mahayana realm experts. In the end, 2 died and 1 was injured. It would have been worth it if they had gotten the earth vein spirit fruit, but they got nothing. With such a huge loss, even if he was the eldest prince of the Azure Dragon Kingdom, he would inevitably be punished when he returned. Qin Haodong left the cave and entered the 7th stage pagoda. When he returned, the 2 girls were already waiting impatiently. Husband, you're finally back. I was so worried. Niuzhuhua pulled Qin Haodong and said, how are you? Are you hurt? He Ziwei did not speak, but her eyes were full of concern. No, I'm fine. Qin Haodong smiled at the 2 girls. Niuzhuhua then asked, how was it? Did you get the earth vein spirit fruit? Here it is. Qin Haodong turned his wrist and 5 bright red earth vein spirit fruits appeared in his palm. The entire 7th stage pagoda was filled with a rich fragrance. So beautiful. Ziwei held one of the earth vein spirit fruits in her hand and played with it fondly. This thing looked more like a gem than anything else. Nyotsuehua also grabbed one and said, "This fruit smells so good. Can I have one?" She pretended to take a bite as she spoke. Qin Haodong hurriedly said, "No way." Nyotsuehua pouted and said, "Stingy. There are 5 of them. What's the big deal about giving one to me and Sister Ziwei?" Qin Haodong smiled bitterly and said, "This is not a matter of being stingy. You're not a magical beast. If you directly swallow an earth vein spirit fruit, your body will explode and you will die. Compared to magical beasts, the human body meridians were much weaker. It had to be refined into pills before it could be consumed. If it was directly consumed, not only would it not have any effect, it would also cost one's life. All right then. I'll return it to you first." Nyotsuehua placed the earth vein spirit fruit back in Qin Haodong's hand and said, "How did you get this?" Qin Haodong told her what had happened from beginning to end. In the end, he said, "Fortunately, the people from the Azure Dragon Kingdom came. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to lure the earth bear out, and I wouldn't have been able to do anything." Nyotsuehua smiled and said, "The people from the Azure Dragon Kingdom are really stupid. They fought so hard outside, but it turns out that they helped you a lot." Ziwei smiled and said, "How are they now? Do they know that the earth vein spirit fruit has been lost?" Qin Haodong said, "When I came out, the earth bear had already found out that something was wrong. I guess it's looking for trouble now." After saying that, he summoned the 3-legged golden toad with his mind. It was attracted by the earth vein spirit fruit in Qin Haodong's hand as soon as it came out. Its eyes showed a greedy look, and its big head kept rubbing against Qin Haodong's leg. "It's no use trying to please me. I can only give you one. Whether it can improve your bloodline depends on you." Qin Haodong threw an earth vein spirit fruit to it. The 3-legged golden toad rolled its big tongue and swallowed it directly. Nyotsuehua said, "Magical beasts are lucky. They can eat it whenever they want. I don't know if this fruit will work." As soon as she finished speaking, the 3-legged golden toad flopped on the ground and fell into a deep sleep. Qin Haodong said, "It seems to work. When it wakes up, it should be a magical beast of the 8th rank." After saying that, he put the 3-legged golden toad back into the spirit beast bag. Ziwei asked, "When are we going back?" Qin Haodong said, "Don't worry. I'll refine a furnace of pulse refining pills for you to improve your cultivation, and then we'll go out." Nyotsuehua said, "You're only at the form synthesis stage now. Can you refine 8th grade pills? Do me a favor. You can try it." Qin Haodong's attainments in alchemy were no problem. What he lacked now was cultivation. But after last time's cross-body transfer, he thought he could ask Nyotsuehua to help him try. He took out the Shinnon cauldron and sat cross-legged. He let Nyotsuehua sit behind him, put his right hand on the Mingmen acupoint on his back, and slowly transferred genuine qi. He could now use Nyotsuehua's genuine qi to temporarily improve his cultivation to the early stage of the Desheng realm, but this was only temporary. As long as Nyotsuehua withdrew her hand, he would immediately return to the original level, which was still at the form synthesis stage. Moreover, this kind of cross-body transfer consumed a lot of Nyotsuehua's energy, so she couldn't hold on for too long. He first threw the earth vein spirit fruit into the Shinnon cauldron, then took out the corresponding pills of pulse refining pills and threw them in one by one to refine. About an hour later, a strong fragrance of pills floated out, and then 7 red pulse refining pills flew out of the Shinnon cauldron and fell into the jade bottle in Qin Haodong's hand. "It's done." Qin Haodong breathed a sigh of relief and his forehead was covered with sweat. Just now, with the help of Nyotsuehua's genuine qi, it consumed a lot of his spiritual force. He took out 2 pulse refining pills and gave one to Nyotsuehua and Ziwei. "Try it and see how it works." The 2 of them swallowed the pills and began to cultivate to improve their cultivation. Time passed by, and about an hour later, Ziwei was the first to break through, and she crossed 2 thresholds in succession, directly reaching the peak of the form synthesis stage. After her, Nyotsuewa's aura suddenly soared, reaching the late stage of the Desheng realm. Both of them successfully broke through. After hesitating for a moment, Qin Haodong also took out a low-grade immortal crystal and began to break through the bottleneck of the Desheng realm. When he was in the Vermilion Bird Kingdom, a low-grade immortal crystal allowed him to enter the middle stage of the form synthesis stage from the early stage. Now that he had 16 low-grade immortal crystals, he should be able to succeed. Chapter 1004. About 4 hours later, Qin Haodong opened his eyes again with a flash of brilliance. He had successfully broken through to the early stage of the Great Vehicle realm. However, the 16 lower-grade immortal crystals had all turned into nothingness, not even a speck was left. He secretly rejoiced in his heart that he was well prepared. Otherwise, all his efforts might have been in vain. The 3 of them had successfully broken through. This time, Qin Haodong did not need Nyotsuehua's help to concoct the pulse regeneration pill. Apart from the earth vein spirit fruit left for the little she-devil, the other 3 were all concocted into pills. A day later, the 3 of them left the 7th Order Pagoda and reappeared in the valley of Sky Thunder Mountain. When the 3 of them appeared, they were shocked by the scene in front of them. When they first arrived, Sky Thunder Mountain was covered with trees and the scenery was beautiful, just like a paradise. But now, the surroundings of Sky Thunder Mountain were in ruins. All the flowers and trees were destroyed beyond recognition. Even the ground seemed to have been overturned. Why is it like this? Just as they were puzzled, an angry roar suddenly came from the side. The earth bear pounced on the 3 of them with a strong gust of wind. So everything in front of them was caused by this guy. The sudden loss of the earth vein spirit fruit left it with nowhere to vent its anger. Although it had already beaten the people from the Azure Dragon Kingdom into a sorry state, it was still angry. Moreover, this guy seemed to have endless energy. After being tossed around for so long, its aura did not weaken at all. Big guy, you really don't know how to open your eyes. Since you're here, I'll play with you. Nyotsuehua had just broken through to the late stage of the Great Vehicle realm. After feeling the power of this realm, she had long wanted to find someone to practice with. Unfortunately, there was no suitable opponent. The unlucky Earth Bear just happened to come knocking on her door. The Earth Bear's eyes were bloodshot. It raised its huge bear paw and slapped at the oxmouth flower. In its eyes, it had no intention of showing mercy to the fairer sex. Nyotsuehua did not dodge. The spiritual energy in her body revolved crazily. She also slapped out with her palm. A small bear paw collided with a crystal clear hand. It seemed that there was a big gap between the man and the bear. However, when the 2 palms collided, the earthen bear was sent flying dozens of meters away as if it had been hit by a cannonball. It crashed into the ground with a loud bang, causing the whole valley to tremble. Nyotsuehua only took 2 steps back. She looked at her palm and said with a smile, "Husband, what do you think?" "Not bad, right?" Qin Haodong nodded. It seemed that at the level of the Desheng stage, each further improvement in cultivation was unimaginable. A day ago, Wang Minghai in the middle Desheng stage was still abused like a dog by this bear, and even his arm was torn off. At this time, Nyotsuehua dealt with this earth bear as if she was playing a game. She had an absolute advantage in terms of strength, which showed the gap between them. Roar, the defense of the earth bear was amazing. Although it was sent flying dozens of meters away, it did not suffer any injuries. It had always been the king of this valley, and no living being dared to approach it. Now that the earth vein spirit fruit that it had guarded for so many years had been snatched away, and it had been beaten up to such a state by a human, it was completely enraged. Climbing up from the ground, it rushed over like a gust of wind, opened its bloody mouth, and bit Nyotsuehua with its white teeth. "Big guy, your mouth is so smelly." Nyotsuehua leaped into the air and kicked on the head of the earth bear. With a bang, the earth bear was kicked out again like a hill. This time, Nyotsuehua did not give it any chance to breathe. She caught up and beat it violently. Roar! 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 In the whole small valley, the howl of the earth bear resounded, and the surrounding small beasts were scared to run around. One by one, the birds spread their wings and flew away from here. At the beginning, the earth bear was roaring, and it sounded quite imposing. After half an hour, it sounded like a scream. In front of Nyotsuehua, it no longer had its former power, and it was abused without the power to fight back. Although its defensive ability was amazing, it could not withstand the violent beating of the strong person in the late Deshang stage. It already had a certain degree of spiritual wisdom, and knew that it was not the opponent of the person in front of it. Finally, it simply lay on the ground and kowtowed to the three people, and its pair of small eyes were full of begging. Nyotsuehua clapped her hands with satisfaction and smiled. "Little brother, do you want me to cut off its 2 pairs of bare paws, and let's have a big meal?" Hearing this, the earth bear was even more afraid. It lay on the ground and shivered, but it did not dare to resist. It had tried to escape many times, but it was beaten back by the crazy woman in front of it, and every time it was beaten harder than the last. Qin Haodong said, "How can such a big bear paw be eaten? If you can't finish it, you can keep it and eat it slowly, 1 braised, 1 sweet and sour, 1 dry fried, 1 barbecued." Nyotsuehua showed the nature of a foodie, and her saliva flowed down as she said. The earth bear was so scared that it almost peed its pants. Its whole body was trembling. Forget it, it's not easy for a magical beast to cultivate to this level, it's a pity to eat it. Qin Haodong came to the front of the earth bear, looked at it and said, "Are you willing to be my spirit beast?" At this time, the earth bear had no choice. It knew that only this man could save it. It nodded in a hurry, for fear that it would be eaten by the crazy woman. Qin Haodong smiled slightly, raised his hand to draw a hexagram, and then dripped a drop of blood in it. Soon, the hexagram with the drop of blood was submerged into the forehead of the earth bear, and he had another magical beast comparable to the middle Deshang stage. Qin Haodong's mind moved, and he put the earth bear into the spirit beast bag. The 3 of them rose into the air, but they did not directly go to the Azure Dragon King city, but first came to the little Azure Dragon city. This time they could get the earth vein spirit fruit because of the information from Lu Xiaoyao, and this old man was good. The last consultation fee was 5 pieces of low-grade immortal crystals, which helped them break through to the Deshang stage. Qin Haodong had always been a grateful person. Since he successfully refined the vein vitality pill, he had to give this old man some benefits. After they entered the city, they came to Lu Xiaoyao's mansion, and without any notice, they directly entered the mansion. With their current cultivation, the guards in the mansion were basically useless. They could not stop them at all. It was already evening and Lu Xiaoyao's living room was lit. Aside from him, there were 3 other people sitting around. They were the Azure Dragon Kingdom's eldest prince Li Zhen, second princess Li Mengyao, and Wang Minghai, who had lost an arm. Qin Haodong waved his hand at Nyotsuehua and Li Zhen, indicating that they should not go in first. They should observe the situation first. In the living room, Lu Xiaoyao was shocked to see the 3 of them. Then, he said with a face full of smiles, "First prince, second princess, shouldn't the 2 of you be guarding the earth vein spirit fruit on Sky Thunder Mountain? Why have you come to my house?" According to the previous estimation, the earth vein spirit fruit would ripen in 3 days. It should not ripen yet. He did not know why these 3 suddenly came to his house. The earth vein spirit fruit has been lost. Li Zhen's face was gloomy. This trip to the Thunder Mountain was a heavy loss. 2 early-stage Great Ascension Realm experts died at once, and Wang Minghai had to rest for a whole day to recover from his serious injuries. However, losing an arm would greatly affect his strength in the future. These were all secondary. What made him most angry was that the earth vein spirit fruit had been stolen. He worked hard for half a day, but in the end, he got nothing. What? The earth vein spirit fruit was lost? Who has the strength to steal the earth vein spirit fruit from the eldest prince's hands? Also, the earth bear was guarding it, and the earth vein spirit fruit hasn't ripened yet. What's the use of taking it? Lu Xiaoyao was indeed shocked by this news, throwing out a series of questions. I don't know the specifics, anyway. We entangled the earth bear and paid a heavy price, but the earth vein spirit fruit was stolen. Li Zhen said to Lu Xiaoyao, President Lu, this time I came to ask you, where did you go after we met at the Sky Thunder Mountain? Lu Xiaoyao hurriedly said, is the eldest prince suspicious of me? The loss of the earth vein spirit fruit has nothing to do with me. The eldest prince wanted the earth vein spirit fruit, of course. I couldn't compete with him, so I returned to the little Azure Dragon City on the same day. If you don't believe me, you can ask the guards at the city gate. Li Zhen didn't doubt Lu Xiaoyao's words, not to mention that Lu Xiaoyao didn't dare to compete with him openly. Even if he had the guts, he didn't have the strength. He asked again, who were those people who went to the Sky Thunder Mountain with you? Where are they now? After thinking for a few days, he felt that those people were the most suspicious of taking the earth vein spirit fruit. Lu Xiaoyao said, you mean them? That young man is Dr. Qin Haodong. He cured my disease before. The other two women are his two confidants. We separated after seeing the eldest prince that day. They said they were going to the Azure Dragon City, and we haven't seen each other since. Qin Haodong, it's this thief. A burning hatred flashed in Li Mengyao's eyes. Brother, it must be this guy who took the earth vein spirit fruit. Lu Xiaoyao said in shock, no way, I think Dr. Qin is a good person. Li Mengyao gritted her teeth and said, then you've been tricked by him. How good can a person who colludes with the Ghost King's sect be? Colluding with the Ghost King's sect, that's even more impossible. Lu Xiaoyao said, the day before yesterday I was attacked by the 5th and 6th elders of the Ghost King's sect. At that time, I was already unable to resist and was about to die, but Dr. Qin and the others killed the people of the Ghost King's sect, which saved my life. Li Zhen said, President Lu, you've been tricked by the boy surnamed Qin. This should be a trick set by the Ghost King's sect. The purpose is to gain your trust. A trick, is it possible? Lu Xiaoyao's face was full of disbelief. He saw Qin Haodong kill the 5th and 6th elders of the Ghost King's sect with his own eyes. Even if the Ghost King's sect wanted to use a trick, they wouldn't sacrifice such important people, right? Li Mengyao said, when I was in the kingdom of Vermilion Bird, I saw Qin Haodong with the first elder of the Ghost King's sect with my own eyes, and in order to save that witch, he didn't even care about his own life. This kind of person, if you say he didn't collude with the Ghost King's sect, who would believe it? Hearing their conversation, Niu Zuihua leaned to Qin Haodong's ear and said, it seems that you can't get rid of the hat of colluding with the witch of the Ghost King's sect. Qin Haodong smiled and said, it's okay, if I can't get rid of it, I'll just wear it. It's nothing anyway. He really didn't care about these things, whether it was the Ghost King's sect or the Four Kingdoms, it didn't matter. His ultimate goal was to return to Earth. Chapter 1005. Seeing how confidently Meng Yao was, Lu Xiaoyao couldn't help but believe her. He then cried out involuntarily, oh no, my family's heirloom, the black demon bead, was swindled away by him. Li Zhen said, I told you that he had ulterior motives for treating you. He even took the earth vein spirit fruit. This bastard, if he falls into my hands one day, I'll tear him into pieces. Li Mengyao said, President Lu, if you get any news about Qin Haodong in the future, you must inform the Azure Dragon royal family as soon as possible. We'll have to kill him even if we have to mobilize all the experts in the Azure Dragon Kingdom. Lu Xiaoyao said, don't worry, Your Highness. I'll report it as soon as I have any news. Li Zhen said, all right, we'll take our leave. This was also their main purpose for coming here. With that, the three of them left the president's residence. After sending them off, Lu Xiaoyao sat back in his chair. Up until now, he only believed half of what Li Zhen and the others had said. Based on his gut feeling and years of experience, Qin Haodong shouldn't be that kind of person. At this moment, a clatter came from the table next to him. He turned his head and saw a small jade bottle on the table. Who is it? Lu Xiaoyao jumped up. With his cultivation, he was able to place this thing on the table without a sound. This was indeed a little too terrifying. He could also see that the other party wanted to startle him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have discovered it at all. He looked around the room and walked out of the door, but he didn't see anyone. With a stomach full of doubts, he returned to the room and picked up the small jade bottle. After opening it, a burst of fragrance greeted his nostrils. Oh my God, is this the pulse vitality pill? Lu Xiaoyao had tried everything to get the earth vein spirit fruit in order to refine this pill. He didn't expect that the pill would miraculously appear in his hands before he could get his hands on the earth vein spirit fruit. After carefully identifying it, he finally confirmed that this was the level 8 pill, the pulse vitality pill. There was no mistake. Who gave this to me? Suppressing the excitement in his heart, he carefully thought about it. In the end, it could only be Qin Haodong. It seemed that Li Zhen and the others had guessed correctly. The earth vein spirit fruit must have been taken by Qin Haodong. But he couldn't imagine how that young man had taken away the earth vein spirit fruit under the noses of the earth bear and Li Zhen. Also, how did he refine the meridian restoration pill? Could it be that he was also an 8th grade alchemist? Should we inform first Prince Li Zhen and the others about this? Lu Xiaoyao hesitated for a moment and finally decided to hide it. Qin Haodong was able to give him a pulse revitalizing pill after the incident, which was enough to show his character. He was definitely not the kind of person they slandered. Qin Haodong didn't want to bring any trouble to Lu Xiaoyao, so he left after throwing the pill. He was about to head to the Azure Dragon Royal City. With the hatred that the Azure Dragon royal family had for him, he had to conceal it. After all, he was going there for the Azure Dragon Spirit Spring and not to attract hatred. They first found an inn to stay in, and then Qin Haodong used the disguise technique to change their appearances. Although they still looked gorgeous, they were completely different from before. Even if they were standing in front of Li Mengyao, she wouldn't be able to recognize them. The next morning, the three of them changed into a set of clothes and left the little Azure Dragon City, flying towards the Azure Dragon Royal City. However, after flying for a short while, they saw figures moving in the distance. There were dozens of people gathered in front of them. Let's go and take a look. After Qin Haodong said that, the three of them concealed their presence and carefully approached. They saw Li Mengyao, Li Zhen, and the others surrounded by dozens of men in black. These people were all wearing masks and were from the Ghost King sect. The two people at the front were wearing golden masks and black clothes. One of them was a woman with a slim figure and 4 skulls were embroidered on her sleeves. The other was a man with 3 skulls embroidered on his sleeves. These two were the Ghost King sect's 3rd and 4th elders. Qin Haodong thought to himself, it seems like I really have fate with the Ghost King sect. I just killed the 5th and 6th elders, and now I've met them again. Li Zhen and Li Mengyao stood in the middle while the Azure Dragon royal family's guards guarded the surroundings, forming a circular formation. How dare your Ghost King sect attack the Azure Dragon royal family? Do you want to be exterminated? As the prince of the Azure Dragon Kingdom, Li Zhen's words were powerful, but he was extremely nervous. At this moment, their strength was severely damaged. Wang Minghai was the only master of the Great Vehicle stage left, and he was seriously injured. He might not even be able to use half of his strength. On the other hand, the 2 leading elders of the Ghost King sect were masters of the Great Vehicle stage. If they really fought, they would definitely be at a disadvantage. Prince, you're so imposing. You're almost scaring me. The 4th elder giggled. Her voice was crisp and pleasant to the ear. It was especially pleasant to listen to. Qin Haodong frowned slightly. Why did this woman's voice sound so familiar? He seemed to have heard it somewhere before. The 4th elder continued, your Azure Dragon Kingdom has always treated the Ghost King sect as an enemy. You always want to exterminate the Ghost King sect, but what can you do? Aren't we still fine? Li Mengyao said angrily, what do you want? The 4th elder said, I heard that you went to pick the earth vein spirit fruit this time. The Ghost King's sect also wants it, so we've been waiting for you here. As long as you hand over the earth vein spirit fruit, we'll let you live. Hearing this, Li Zhen had the urge to vomit blood again. This time, he was so useless. He didn't even see the shadow of the earth vein spirit fruit, but he had caused so much trouble. He said, "We didn't get any earth vein spirit fruit at all. It was taken away by someone else." The fourth elder giggled again. "Your Highness, do you think we look like idiots? In this Azure Dragon Kingdom, besides the Ghost King's sect, who would dare to steal the fruit of the Azure Dragon royal family? Isn't this a joke?" Li Zhen said angrily, "I don't care if you believe it or not. Anyway, we didn't get the earth vein spirit fruit." The third elder, who had been standing silently on the side, said in a low voice, "It seems that you want us to search for it ourselves." After he finished speaking, Qin Haodong's heart skipped a beat. He finally remembered who these two people were. The third elder and the fourth elder were the little lark and the old man he met in the Black Tortoise Kingdom's Pegasus City. At that time, these two people were singing in the tea house. They looked so pitiful, and he even gave them spirit stones. However, at that time, he was only in the soul formation realm, so he couldn't see through their cultivation. "How dare you!" Li Mengyao shouted in an imposing manner. This was the Azure Dragon Kingdom's territory. No one dared to disrespect the Azure Dragon royal family here. Unfortunately, she chose the wrong opponent this time. The opponent was the Ghost King's sect, and they didn't care about the Azure Dragon royal family at all. Whether I dare or not, you'll know in a moment. After the third elder finished speaking, he reached out and grabbed Li Mengyao. Wang Minghai stood by the side. He couldn't let the prince and princess get hurt. Although he was injured, he couldn't care too much. He jumped up and punched the third elder's palm with his remaining fist. The third elder chuckled, "Old man Wang, if you weren't injured, you could still walk a few rounds with me. But now that you're crippled, one slap isn't even enough for you." As he spoke, the two palms collided. Wang Minghai and the third elder's strength were similar, both in the middle stage of the Great Ascension realm. Unfortunately, not only was he missing an arm, his vitality hadn't recovered yet. Under such circumstances, their strength wasn't on the same level at all. With a bang, the two palms collided. Wang Minghai immediately flew backwards like a kite with a broken string. This triggered the internal injury that he hadn't fully recovered from, and a stream of blood flowed down the corner of his mouth. The fourth elder also made a move. She just waved her sleeves, and the royal guard in front of her was beaten into a mess. She walked in front of Li Zhen and Li Mengyao and said, "First prince, second princess, what else do you have to say?" Li Zhen's face was ashen. It seemed like he had been tricked by the Ghost King's sect from the very beginning. They were waiting for him to get the earth vein spirit fruit and when his strength was greatly reduced. Unfortunately, the Ghost King's sect didn't calculate that he really didn't get the earth vein spirit fruit. Seeing that the Ghost King's sect was in complete control of the situation, Li Mengyao's arrogant expression faded a bit and said, "Let me tell you, we really don't have the earth vein spirit fruit." The fourth elder chuckled, "You really won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. Second princess's figure is not bad, it looks even more voluptuous than me. Now let's see if it's true or not." Then she reached out to grab Li Mengyao. Even though the other party was also a woman, Li Mengyao couldn't stand being humiliated. She tried her best to resist. Unfortunately, she was only in the middle stage of the unity stage. Plus, she hadn't recovered her vitality yet. Naturally, she wasn't a match for the third elder. She was completely suppressed by her opponent's powerful aura. Li Zhen's face darkened. He wanted to help his sister, but was blocked by the third elder. Seeing that his side was in complete despair, a clear voice came from the side, "First prince, as long as you take out 5 low-grade immortal crystals, I will help you get rid of these Ghost King sect people." Li Zhen looked back and saw a handsome young man appear behind him. Beside him were two extremely beautiful women. Back then, Li Mengyao was able to take out a low-grade immortal crystal, so Qin Haodong wanted to try and see if this Azure Dragon Kingdom's first prince was richer. He had never seen these three people before and didn't know who they were. However, since they were familiar with the Ghost King's sect and still dared to stand out at this time, they naturally had the ability. The situation was urgent, so he didn't care about the pain. He made a prompt decision and said, "Deal. As long as you help me kill these Ghost King sect people, I will immediately take out 5 low-grade immortal crystals as a reward." Hearing the conversation between the two, the fourth elder wasn't in a hurry. He turned around and looked at Qin Haodong. "Little handsome, do you want to be the enemy of the Ghost King sect?" Qin Haodong smiled, "I have no choice. Recently, money has been very tight. If you can take out 5 low-grade immortal crystals, then I won't interfere in this mess today. Kid, I really don't know who gave you the courage to extort even the Ghost King sect. If you want money, go ask the King of Hell." In the past, as long as the name of the Ghost King sect was mentioned, most people would avoid it. But this kid in front of him dared to extort the Ghost King sect. The third elder was instantly furious. He reached out to grab Qin Haodong. Nether Ghost Claw. The boundless energy immediately transformed into a ghostly claw that would make one's hair stand on end. With a huge pressure, the claw grabbed at the three of them. Chapter 1006. You're courting death. How dare you attack my husband? Niu Zuhua shouted angrily. Her vital energy turned into a giant fist and smashed at the ghostly claw. Before this, the third elder, who was at the middle stage of the Great Vehicle Realm, was 1 level higher than her, the Great Elder. But recently, she had improved continuously and reached the late stage of the Great Vehicle Realm. She was not someone that the third elder could fight against. The Nether Ghost Claw was instantly smashed by the giant fist. With a muffled groan, the third elder flew backward and spat out a mouthful of blood. Seeing that this woman defeated the third elder in one move, the people of the Azure Dragon royal family were delighted. They were on the verge of despair, but now, their savior had arrived. The fourth elder of the Ghost King sect was shocked. The third elder's cultivation was higher than hers, but she could not even take one move from the opponent. It was obvious that the opponent was at least in the late stage of the Great Vehicle Realm. With such a huge difference in strength, how could they fight this battle? She was also a very decisive person. She immediately shouted to her subordinates, "Retreat quickly." With that order, all the people of the Ghost King sect scattered in all directions. The fourth elder also chose a direction and quickly flew away. Want to run? Not so easy. Qin Haodong shouted and chased after the fourth elder. Niu Zuehua and He Ziwei were afraid that something would happen to him, so they followed closely. The fourth elder exerted her cultivation to the extreme, but no matter how much she accelerated, she could not get rid of the 3 people behind her. After flying for a few hundred miles, Niu Zuehua flashed and blocked in front of her. "Alright, stop running." The fourth elder gritted her teeth and attacked with all her strength. However, her cultivation was nothing in Niu Zuehua's eyes. She raised her hand and slapped her to the ground. Qin Haodong walked over and looked at her. "Hand over the black demon pearl, and I will spare your life." When he realized that the fourth elder was Little Lark, he had already felt the aura of the black demon pearl from her. This was also the reason why he let the fourth elder escape. Otherwise, with Niu Zuehua's cultivation, she could have been killed on the spot. He did not want the people of the Azure Dragon royal family to know that he had the black demon pearl. Therefore, Qin Haodong secretly transmitted a message to Niu Zuehua and asked the fourth elder to run here. The purpose was to avoid the eyes of the Azure Dragon royal family. Although the fourth elder was wearing a mask, his eyes still flashed with astonishment. "I don't know what you're talking about. Our Ghost King sect is only here for the Earth Vein Spirit Fruit. We don't have any black demon beads." Qin Haodong smiled and said, "If you do that, then I'll have to do it myself. Fourth Elder's expression turned sluggish. That was what he had said to threaten the Azure Dragon royal family earlier. He didn't expect for the tables to turn and fall on him in the blink of an eye. Kid, don't forget that I'm from the Ghost King sect. Don't tell me you want to be enemies with the Ghost King sect. Knowing that she was no match for him, she could only use the name of the Ghost King sect to scare him. I don't care who you are, all I want is the black demon bead. The fourth elder gritted his teeth and said, I really didn't. Qin Haodong turned around and said to Nyotsuehua with a smile, it seems that she wants to compete with you to see who has a fuller figure. Let's check it out. Nyotsuehua reached out and picked up the fourth elder. She reached out and searched her body. Soon, a black bead appeared in her hand. It was the black demon bead. She threw the black demon bead to Qin Haodong and said, this woman who looks like a little bean sprout doesn't feel good to the touch at all. How can she be compared to me? The fourth elder ignored her mockery and shouted, this is what the Ghost King sect wants. If you take it away, you'll become enemies with the Ghost King sect. I'll spare you this time because you're a woman, but if you say another word, I won't be so good-tempered anymore. Qin Haodong took the black demon bead and played with it seriously. Although the fourth elder's eyes were full of anger, she didn't dare to say a word. She knew that the young man in front of her was not joking. If she said another word, she might lose her life. Yes, this is it. Qin Haodong put away the black demon bead. Although he didn't know what it could do, it was better to have it in his hands than in the hands of the Ghost King sect. Get lost. Don't let me see you again. After saying that, Qin Haodong took He Ziwei and Nyotsuehua back to the side of the Azure Dragon royal family. The fourth elder looked at the backs of the three people with hatred and disappeared in an instant. Seeing that Qin Haodong and the other two had returned, Li Jun said, where are they? Did you catch them? He had brought people out this time and suffered heavy losses. If he brought back the fourth elder of the Ghost King sect, he could make up for his mistakes and might even be appreciated by his father. Qin Haodong shook his head and said, the people of the Ghost King sect are very cunning. They ran away. That's a pity. Anyway, we have to thank you for saving us, little brother. Li Jun shook his head regretfully and said, let me introduce myself. I'm the eldest prince of the Azure Dragon Kingdom, Li Jun, and this is my sister, Li Mengyao. Qin Haodong said with a smile, there's no need to thank me. I'm charging for this. Don't worry, I always keep my word. Li Jun said and took out 5 low-grade immortal crystals and handed them over. In fact, he was far from being open-minded. After taking out the 5 low-grade immortal crystals, he felt a pain in his heart. But he had no choice. The 3 people in front of him were more powerful than the people of the Ghost King sect. He didn't have the courage to go back on his word. Who knew if he would anger them and kill him? Qin Haodong put away the 5 immortal crystals and looked at Wang Minghai and Li Mengyao and said, I'm a doctor. I can treat your injuries for free this time. Nyotsuehua's face flashed with surprise. The other party was clearly her enemy. She didn't understand why he would treat their injuries. Of course, Qin Haodong wasn't overflowing with sympathy. He had his own plans. The purpose of this trip to the Azure Dragon Kingdom was to find the Azure Dragon's spirit spring. Mixing with the people of the Azure Dragon royal family would not only save a lot of trouble but also get more information. The most important thing was that Li Mengyao only had the strength of the middle stage of the integration stage. Even if her body was completely restored, she wouldn't be a threat to him at all. She was no different from a disabled person. It was the same for Wang Minghai. Even though he was in the middle stage of the Great Ascension stage, he couldn't even be compared to the early stage of the Great Ascension stage after losing an arm. If he could treat these 2 disabled people, he could gain the trust of the Azure Dragon royal family and get closer to the Crown Prince. No matter what, it was a good deal. Li Jun said in surprise, little brother, is what you said true? Can you really treat my sister's injuries? To me, this small injury is nothing. Qin Haodong looked at Li Mengyao and said, "If I'm not wrong, the second princess must have forcefully used some kind of secret technique which resulted in such a huge loss of vitality. This kind of injury might be difficult for others, but it's nothing to me. I just need to replenish some vitality." Seeing that the other party didn't even need to feel her pulse to explain her injuries, Li Mengyao said in surprise, "Little doctor, can you really treat my injuries?" Even though the talisman she used to escape from the Vermilion Bird Kingdom could save her life, it consumed a lot of energy and damaged her vitality. If she didn't replenish her recovered vitality, not only would it be hard for her cultivation to improve in the future, she wouldn't even be able to keep her current cultivation. She could only become an ordinary person again. After she came back, she had seen 2 famous doctors and they said that only the Earth Vein Spirit Fruit could replenish her lost vitality. But now that she had lost the Earth Vein Spirit Fruit, Qin Haodong's words gave her a glimmer of hope. "Of course, your injuries may be incurable to other doctors, but it's a piece of cake for me." In order to quickly gain the trust of the siblings, Qin Haodong wouldn't keep a low profile. He didn't have time to waste. Li Zhen said, "Little brother, as long as you can treat my sister's illness, the Azure Dragon royal family will reward you handsomely." Li Mengyao said eagerly, "Little miracle doctor, when can you treat me? Do I need to prepare anything?" These few days, he had had enough of the feeling of weakness. He didn't have enough vitality and felt uncomfortable doing anything. "No need. I've brought all the medical equipment with me. I can treat you now," Qin Haodong said as he took out a bed sheet and laid it on the ground. Then he let Li Mengyao lie on it and took out the silver needles to treat her illness. The greenwood genuine qi originally had the effect of nourishing the body. At the same time, he secretly took out a small amount of meridian revitalization pill, mixed it with some flour, and gave it to Li Mengyao. The amount he used was very small. It was only enough for Li Mengyao to recover her vitality. It wouldn't affect her cultivation too much. Li Mengyao felt that after the silver needles were inserted, the circulation of the genuine qi and blood was getting faster and faster. Her dantian was warm and comfortable. She couldn't help but be overjoyed. It seemed that she had really met a miracle doctor. 20 minutes later, Qin Haodong took back the silver needles. "Sister, how do you feel?" Li Zhen asked with concern. Li Mengyao jumped up. At this moment, she was full of vitality and spirit. She had completely returned to the state before she used the talisman. Moreover, her cultivation showed signs of breaking through to the late stage of body synthesis. "Brother, the little miracle doctor's medical skills are really amazing. I've completely recovered." Qin Haodong put away the silver needles and said, "This time, I cured the second princess, but remember not to use those things that hurt vitality in the future." "Thank you for the reminder, little miracle doctor." Li Menyao's attitude became much more respectful. Then she gritted her teeth and said, "This time, it's all because of that Qin guy. I'll make him pay sooner or later." Qin Haodong was secretly amused. He pretended to say, "I wonder who the second princess is talking about? An enemy of the Azure Dragon royal family. Let's not talk about it." Li Zhen said, "The little miracle doctor has helped us so much. How should we address you?" "I'm Tang Long. They are my girlfriends, Li Yingying and He Xiaoqian." Qin Haodong reported the name that he had already prepared. Li Zhen pointed to Wang Minghai and said, "Divine Dr. Tang's medical skills are really superb. Can you also treat our elder Wang?" "No problem. This kind of injury is the easiest to treat." Qin Haodong took out the silver needles again, suppressed Wang Minghai's injury, and gave him a healing elixir. Soon, Wang Minghai's injury was completely healed. However, he had lost an arm, so his combat power was certainly not as good as before. Seeing that his younger sister and his right-hand men were all healed, Li Zhen gratefully said, "Divine Dr. Tang, can you come to my Azure Dragon royal family and stay for a few days? Let us, brother and sister, be the host and express our gratitude." "That's fine. We came out to travel. It's a good time to see the Azure Dragon Royal City. After that, Qin Haodong followed Li Zhen and the others to the Azure Dragon Royal City. Chapter 1007. Not long after they left, Li Mengyao leaned against Qin Haodong and said with a blushing face, "Brother Tang, can I call you that?" "Oh. Second princess, you're too polite." Qin Haodong had always been fighting with Li Mengyao. He was not used to being so polite all of a sudden. "Brother Tang, you're my savior. You don't have to be so polite. Just call me Mengyao." Qin Haodong said, "That's not appropriate. I'll call you second princess." Niu Zuihua pulled He Ziwei to the back and whispered, "Sister Ziwei, did you see that? This woman actually likes our husband." He Ziwei said in surprise, "How is that possible?" Niu Zuihua waved her hand and made a shield around them with her powerful genuine qi. No one could hear their conversation. "It's not impossible. This silly woman doesn't know who we are and that our husband is her most hated enemy." He Ziwei said worriedly, "What should we do? This identity is only temporary. We can't use it forever." Niu Zuihua giggled and said, "That's what our husband has to worry about. It's best if he takes advantage of this woman and then kicks her out. That way, this vicious woman won't want to take revenge on us all the time." His guess was right. Li Mengyao really liked Qin Haodong. For so many years, there were countless people who pursued her. Some were young masters from rich families, but she had always been proud and had never liked anyone. But after seeing Qin Haodong pretending to be Tang Long, she finally fell for him. He had reached the Mahayana stage at such a young age and had amazing medical skills. There was no other man like him. Even Li Zhen, who was known as the Chosen One, reached the late stage of form synthesis at the age of 30, and he used a huge amount of resources from the Azure Dragon royal family. In comparison, this showed how excellent the man in front of her was. If she could be with this man, her position in the Azure Dragon Kingdom would be more stable. Li Mengyao said, "Brother Tang, it's really okay. I want to be with you. You can call me Mengyao in the future." "Oh. Okay then." Qin Haodong also knew that he wouldn't have many chances to meet this woman in the future, so he didn't care. Li Mengyao said, "Brother Tang, if I'm not wrong, you have reached the Mahayana stage." Qin Haodong nodded and said, "Just the early stage. That's already very impressive. As far as I know, even among the top geniuses of the four kingdoms, no one can reach the Desheng stage at this age. You are definitely a genius among geniuses." Li Menyao's eyes flashed with love and admiration. She then said, "Big Brother Tang, can you tell me how you cultivate?" "Brother Tang, can you tell me how you cultivated?" "Look, I've only just reached the mid-body integration stage. I'm far inferior to you." Qin Haodong said, "There's no secret method. My cultivation is completely attributed to my master. Before he died, he used an exclusive secret method to impart his cultivation to me. That's why I have today's achievements. Otherwise, if I cultivate alone, even if I die, I may not reach the Desheng stage." Li Mengyao didn't doubt this statement at all. It was indeed difficult to reach the Great Ascension stage in one's 20s if one only relied on self-cultivation. "Big Brother Tang, you're really lucky to have such a teacher." After that, Li Mengyao kept talking, and Qin Haodong just responded to her. After half a day, the relationship between the two of them quickly became closer. "Big Brother Tang, can I trouble you to take my pulse again? Let's see if my body has completely recovered." Li Mengyao took the initiative to hold Qin Haodong's hand. Of course, she wasn't doing this to check his pulse. Her body was in excellent condition, even better than before she was injured. The more she looked at the man in front of her, the more she liked him, but he didn't show too much. In her opinion, Qin Haodong must have taken the initiative to attack because of her identity. As for Niu Zuihua and He Ziwei behind her, she automatically ignored them. She was the second princess of the Azure Dragon Kingdom. Although those two women were beautiful, how could they compare to her? As long as she was willing, she could definitely become the first wife. Of course, Qin Haodong didn't want to be too close to this woman. After feeling her pulse again, he withdrew his hand without a trace. Your body has recovered quite well. There are no more problems. Really? Then I have to thank Big Brother Tang. Lin Mengyao didn't have any intention of giving up. Instead, she moved closer to Qin Haodong. Li Zhen saw everything clearly from the side, and the corner of his mouth rose into a smile. He had a good impression of Qin Haodong. He was more outstanding than any of the youths in the Azure Dragon Kingdom. He was definitely a good match for his sister. The lowest cultivation level of the group was at the conjoint realm. They traveled very quickly and arrived at the Azure Dragon Kingdom in the evening. They landed on the ground. The Azure Dragon Kingdom also had a flight restriction array, so they couldn't fly. After seeing Li Zhen and Li Mengyao, the city guards took the initiative to salute and let them in. After entering the city, everyone couldn't help but sigh at the prosperity of the Azure Dragon Kingdom. The Azure Dragon Kingdom was the largest kingdom in the Lingwu continent, and the Azure Dragon Kingdom was also the most prosperous city. Li Zhen brought everyone to the Azure Dragon Kingdom's relay station and arranged for Qin Haodong and the other two to stay in a separate courtyard. It was the most luxurious residence in the entire relay station. Little brother Tang, you can stay here for the next few days. If there's anything you need, just tell us, brother and sister. Qin Haodong nodded, thank you, your royal highness. At this moment, a little eunuch hurriedly ran in from outside. After seeing Li Zhen and Li Mengyao, he said, Your Highness the eldest prince, Your Highness the second princess, the king heard that you are back and wants you to enter the palace immediately. Li Zhen said, Little brother Tang, you guys rest here first. I'll go to the palace to see my father. After saying that, he left the relay station with Li Mengyao and rushed to the Azure Dragon Palace. Qin Haodong entered the room and said to Nyotsuehua and He Ziwei, Come, I'll show you something interesting. After saying that, he set up a few restrictions in the room and took out a laptop from his storage ring. He turned on the computer and an image appeared on the screen. It was Li Zhen and Li Mengyao. Sitting opposite them was a middle-aged couple. The man was in his 40s or 50s and looked very dignified. Sitting next to him was a middle-aged woman in her 30s. Although she was sitting there with a solemn expression, she still couldn't hide the charm she exuded. These two people were the Azure Dragon Kingdom's King Li Guangyao and Queen Qiao Yuhuan. Seeing the scene on the screen, Nyotsuehua and He Ziwei were both shocked. Husband, what kind of artifact is this? Is this clairvoyance? Nyotsuehua asked in surprise. She could see that every move on the opposite side had just happened, and even the voice of the conversation could be heard clearly. This was simply a new understanding of her. She didn't know how Qin Haodong did it. Qin Haodong said, This is not an artifact, but high-tech. Just when Li Mengyao was trying to get close to him, he installed a miniature camera on Li Mengyao's body to see if he could find some information about the Azure Dragon Spirit Spring. This miniature camera was given to him by Hu Shaoxian. It was the latest high-tech product developed by the Shenyuan Pavilion. Although this thing looked very small, it had its own signal transmission function. There would be no problem within 100 kilometers, and it could be used in any bad conditions. His laptop was a matching receiver that could receive all the signals from the opposite side. He Ziwei asked in confusion, What is high-tech? Qin Haodong felt helpless. These two people knew nothing about the technology on Earth, so there was no way to explain it clearly. However, it was also for this reason that he could successfully install it on Li Menyao's body. In the Lingwu continent, as a cultivator, he would always pay attention to whether someone had left a divine sense mark on his body, and he would not pay attention to something like a miniature camera at all. It was left to me by my master. I don't know much about it. You just need to know that everything we see is happening outside. Since there was no way to explain it, he could only blame it on his non-existent master. Oh. The two women didn't ask any more questions and looked at the screen together. Nyotsuehua sighed and said, This thing is really magical. We can see clearly what the opposite side is doing. Even a divine artifact can't do this. At this time, Li Guangyao on the screen said, Mengyao, how was your trip this time? Did it go well? Father, this time I went to the Vermilion Bird Kingdom to participate in the Four Nations exchange, but it didn't go well at all, and I suffered heavy losses. I was the only one who came back alive from the whole Azure Dragon Institute. Li Mengyao told her father what had happened. Then she gritted her teeth and said, Father, it's all that damn Qin Haodong's fault. You must help me. Qiao Yuhuan said, Your Majesty, it's really outrageous. Someone dares to bully our Azure Dragon Kingdom. Li Guangyao said with a gloomy expression, A little boy dares to go against our Azure Dragon Kingdom. Don't worry, daughter. I will definitely avenge you. Seeing this, Niuzuihua said with a smile, Husband, she wants to take revenge on you. It seems that it's not easy to be the emperor's son-in-law. Qin Haodong raised his hand and patted her plump area. Watch carefully and don't talk nonsense. Niuzuihua looked at him charmingly, then raised her hand and patted He Ziwei's plump area. Husband, why only hit her? I'll hit Sister Ziwei for you. He Ziwei said with a blushing face, Sister Zuihua, you bullied me. I didn't make you unhappy, why did you hit me? Niuzuihua said with a smile, This is called sharing blessings and difficulties. When you ask me to do something good, I'll call you. Qin Haodong said, Don't mess around. Let's see what they say first. At this time, Li Guangyao said again, how did it go when you took the 3 elders out this time? You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.